And we are recording. We are back. Hello. Lucy, say hi.
Oh my god, hello.
It's pretty
What's up,
awesome.
guys? It's pretty cool, yeah. It's pretty great, not gonna lie.
It's been a while since we've done C's, hasn't it? I feel like we say that every episode. Um,
Yeah, well, it's because every time we, in between every season episode, we, have a bunch of shit happen, or, just a whole bunch of stuff.
yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the thing about recording C's is one, we have to want to do it because we're not just
Two,
gonna.
we have to have a good thing to. Two, we have to have a good thing to do it on.
Yeah, and a lot of people have mentioned wanting to hear us talk about Mayo, talking about Devil May Cry again. And to be clear, we're not, because some people are gonna see this and be like, "Oh my God, it's a fucking 13 billion and a half hour video from these fucking guys talking about Mayo, talking about Devil May Cry again." But like, if we were in the mood to make a C's episode,
We
and
were in the mood to make a C's episode.
well, if we were in the mood to make a C's episode, and nobody had mentioned wanting us to respond to this, we would have just found something else. It doesn't fucking matter. We're not here to beat up on Mayo, even though I don't give a shit about him and I don't respect him. He's a little poopy head.
Yeah, I'll beat up on Mayo when it's warranted, but I'm not going out here being like, oh my god, literally everything Mayo talks, literally everything Mayo says, it's awful. It's the worst. I hate it
Yeah.
so much.
Like Mayo makes a lot of content, so, and I don't. I want to be clear. I don't even hate all of it. Like I said, I don't care for the guy, but I don't. I don't even remember the last. Actually, no, I do remember the last time I watched a video of his. It was when you were streaming his Devil May Cry stuff in the Discord server, and I jumped in at Devil May Cry 3. I think. Did I watch? Because you
Yes.
watched this one, right? Did I join in on that?
You did not until the. No, actually, I don't think you did, now that I think about it.
I was gonna say I think I watched like the first minute of this when he first released it. Maybe. I can imagine. I don't remember anything about it. The only thing I can say for certain, and it's not even because I remember it, it's just I know it, is that he's gonna appreciate the camera because he likes cinematic cameras in action games, which, yeah,
It don't normally mix together very well.
yeah, really depends on the game and the control schemes. But anywho, yeah.
I feel like it might. I feel like it also might be an interesting discussion for the two of us as well, because I am much more fond of Devil May Cry One than you are. I know you've got the opinion that, obviously you respect it and you love it, but you think it's aged like milk,
That's exactly what I was gonna
as you've said.
say. I think it's aged like milk. I enjoy going back to play it every now and then, but God,
Whereas I'm like, "Ooh, man, playing Devil May Cry always exciting."
simp.
I very much am a Devil May Cry One simp. I don't know why I like it as much as I do.
I mean, nothing wrong with that.
I just really like it, and I respect a lot of the stuff it does, even if not everybody enjoys it. Like, I know it's a pretty unpopular opinion, but I actually really like the Nightmare fight.
Oh wow, hot take.
For one,
I think
very hot take.
probably. Also, if I
I would
sound a
assume it's
little,
a hot take.
I should probably throw it out there. If I sound a little loopy, it's because I have a kidney stone and I'm drugged the fuck up on pain meds right now. So
It's okay. We both have something wrong with us, because I might cough or have to clear my throat very often in this video, because there's something going wrong, something going on with my throat. I don't know what it is,
it's from sucking all
but it
that dick.
feels. Oh no! Don't stop! Don't expose me like that.
Wait, it don't stop. What?
I said don't expose me. I said stop, comma. Don't expose me like that. You know what a comma
You
is?
said don't stop.
Man, guys, you heard it here first. L, C's host, very illiterate.
I mean, I grew up in that there country. You know that there in the rural parts of them there parts of
Me
America.
too, actually. Well, I grew up in half of it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm also, guys. Guess what? I'm for real
Dragon's Dogma
working.
anime review. Let's
Oh
go.
God. No, I'm for real actually working on a video this time, and it's gonna get made. So I hope
Picks,
you guys look forward to that.
picks, or it didn't happen.
Pixar, it didn't happen. I've got notes. I've got notes
You do
on
have
the game.
notes.
I don't
Um,
know if you've had the chance to read them yet. I got notes. It's getting made,
as
one
for
way or another.
as for me, I've got lots of content planned and coming. I'm doing it at the best pace I can. I've got a big trip coming up for my birthday here in a couple of weeks. Actually, a few weeks, but wow, this month is flying by. Um,
Yeah, it needs to stop.
and for those wondering, because I know there's gonna be some people who are like, ah, man, I miss these, and I'm really happy that you all like C's. I'm really happy that you are excited to hear us talk about things, or that you want to hear us talk about things. Um,
Yeah,
it,
because
it's just
because what?
it's important to understand that C's is not something that we can just drop everything and do. Like I can work on videos in bits and pieces between life, throughout my week or
Yeah,
whatever. But C's
but
requires the
for
both of us to sit down, dedicate, and well, pretty much dedicate our whole
hours.
day to it. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty
Um,
much. Like this is. I would be very surprised if it's not close to nightfall, which is around 8 p.m. for me. Whenever we're done with this video, but like
yeah.
I am very happy that people like still want to see it because like the whole reason like what even prompted this video I think I don't think Els mentioned it yet is that people in our Discord were like yeah we want you guys to do this or like I'm
Yeah.
putting on a dumb voice. I'm not trying to make fun of anybody, but yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was because
People in
people.
the Discord have mentioned it, and I've seen comments on other videos like, "Oh, what did you guys think about Mayo's newer Devil May Cry stuff? Do you want to respond to it?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, why not? It's just a matter of both of us happening to be at a point where one we want to do because we're not going to do a season if we don't fucking want to,
Oh yeah,
and
that's a miserable experience,
yeah,
and it also
we did that
another
with
factor.
the gentleman now known as Afterlife Games, and that was a fucking
That was
experience.
fucking miserable.
Oh man,
And it also has to be on a topic that like we're invested in or we think will be interesting to watch because obviously listening to two jokers talk about something that just isn't interesting in the slightest or just has no meat or weight to it just
yeah.
feels awful.
Like things that like if it's something we're not that knowledgeable about or like I said just not interested in actually doing, it's like no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah,
um
like you're not gonna see me doing suggesting to L that we do a seize on somebody who made a quantum physics paper and be like, oh look at this fucking idiot.
one thing I thought of just now, Lucy, oh my god, do you know what's coming out in 3 days?
Oh fuck, you've just reminded me. Is it the Elden Ring
It's
DLC?
the Elden Ring DLC.
Apparently, I don't know if it was Miyazaki himself or if it was just somebody who is like in the know on FromSoft. But apparently Miyazaki has said that in order to get into the DLC for Elden Ring, you have to beat a boss that only 38% of the player base has beaten, which makes me believe that you have to beat Malenia if you want to get into the boss or into the DLC. But that's the only
uh
boss I can think of that only 38% of the fan base would beat
I
and be
don't
important enough.
I don't I don't know about that. No, the prerequisite was confirmed like months ago. You have to have beaten Radon and you have to have beaten Moog.
Interesting.
Yeah, you have to beat Radon, and the entrance is at the altar where Mikola and his little egg. It's not little, but his egg is. And you have to
Little
beat.
egg boy,
Yeah, little egg
stupid
boy.
egg man.
Oh man, some of this art I've seen and like the trailers and shit, like Mikola's fucking cool, dude. I can't wait to see what he does. Like legitimate. Like I have a billion problems with Elden Ring, but like I'm like, hey man, Mikola's a cool character. Let's see what they got. Are you gonna be playing the DLC?
I will be at some point because of how I am. I obviously haven't even seen the reveal trailers or anything like that
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
figured I would be playing it anyway.
True, true. Yep, I will be streaming it, so hey everybody, look forward to that. Anyone who's watching this should be going up before that, because 3 days, I would fucking hope so. What? Wait,
Mhm.
what? Hold on a second. Lucy is playing Devil May Cry HD Collection on Steam.
Yeah. Don't tell L about that. He's not supposed to know.
Yeah, I hear that guy's a fucking queer anyways. So, under the Mayo, everyone told him to play Devil May Cry. Source?
Yeah, that's the funny thing is like I feel like this is going to be something that I mentioned multiple times throughout this video. Mayo has a problem of like saying that people told him something or saying that people said this thing and then like not providing a source or like showing who said these things. And it's like, bruh, citation, please. Your ass would not have made it in high school papers.
I mean, for what it's worth, I remember even back in his DMC5 video, some people were like, "Oh man, you probably like DMC3 or whatever."
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah, absolutely. But like, it's just that like for there are just certain things that man's likes to say, and whenever he says them, it's like, please tell me who asked this of you.
I mean, I've said this before, and I'm sure I'll say it again at some point. There have been many instances where I've been forced to question either his intelligence or his integrity.
Now,
And I know
granted, I
it seems like nitpicking to pick on the title, which I'm just having a laugh here. I just like to make fun of him.
I have a feeling that
Ooh.
we're not gonna have a single point in this video where we're like, man, you're just real dumb. Like he's gonna show off his best. We're gonna be like, yo, he's so smart and his points are so good and cool. Just fucking kidding. That'll never happen because it's mayonnaise.
You know, it's kind of funny going into this because part of me is like, I have a lot of problems with the original Devil May Cry, as we mentioned. So, how well will Mayo articulate these various? Because I don't think it's hard to criticize the game. Not even that I think it's bad. It's just there's some pretty
Oh
obvious
yeah,
glaring problems, and it's like,
it's got some flaws.
and and to be fair, he has a video on Devil May Cry too, and I'm thinking to myself, literally, how could you possibly botch
Uh,
criticizing Devil May Cry 2?
I have seen the video. Let me tell you, Mayo managed it. He managed it somehow.
I'm very curious. And hey, you know what? If you guys like this content, you should like, subscribe, and bell ding dong and fucking poop in my
Like the
pants.
video and subscribe the video and share the video and
Yeah.
favorite the video. Remember favorites?
Uh, shouldn't come on the video. But no, seriously, if people enjoy this, let us know, and we'll respond to his DMC2 and DMC3. I'm sure the DMC3 video, especially, would be a fucking blast.
Uh, kind of. So one problem that
We
he
watched a
has
little bit. Well,
is
you watched all of it. I jumped in
yeah.
towards the end of that
Um,
one.
I'm not going to spoil it, but one problem that he consistently has in all three of these videos, and like I get it to some extent because I like part of the reason that I have had a lot of trouble actually making video essays in the past, despite how much I very clearly want to, is that I personally struggle with finding shit to say or finding new shit to say. That's my big thing. So like I get it if he does as well, but like a huge problem is just that he just says nothing for so much of these three videos that it's kind of fucking wild to me, especially how like he's gotten pretty like widespread and universal praise for all three of these videos, which is also even more baffling.
I don't know. There's a lot of people, and this is something I noticed. There's a lot of people clowning on that DMC3 video for him not even mentioning Virgil's name to the point that he changed the fucking thumbnail for it. It's like, man,
Yeah,
I
and
remember in his first Devil May Cry 5 video, he was like, I think Virgil's really cool. Like, he didn't really say much about it, but he thought Virgil was cool. So, you know, me hearing that, I'm like, oh, he probably is going to talk a bit about Virgil and Devil May Cry 3. You know, Virgil and Devil May Cry 3, he's a pretty big deal in that game, I'll say. Um,
so turns out, L, you're just a fucking moron, and
I mean, true.
you don't get the joke.
Look, I have hundreds of hours in Elden Ring. If there's one thing you can say about me, it's that I'm a fucking moron, all right?
Yeah, no. So he said in a follow-up video to his DMC3 video, that he intentionally didn't mention Virgil because he thought it'd be funny.
Uh-huh. So
So
anyways,
yeah,
look
like
forward anyways, look forward to my Persona 3 video where I go into extensive detail about the entire game, but I specifically make it a point to not talk about Junpei.
yeah,
I'll talk about
Me,
Chidori. I'll talk about Chidori, you know.
you should
But
talk about Yosuke in that video instead.
oh yeah, yeah.
Like make an April Fool's Persona 3 video, and then for the fucking Junpei portion of the analysis, just do an analysis of Yosuke from Persona 4.
Bet.
Um, yeah, but congratulations, you made the quality of your video worse for a joke that didn't even land. Like it's first of all, like in order for something to constitute a joke, there has to be a punchline, right? I get and like I understand I might be sounding mean, but like where's the punchline? Like, there's no joke here. You were just like, I thought it would be funny if I didn't mention somebody who's extremely important to this game and the gaming landscape as a whole to the point where it shaped how rivals were made in action games for it still is shaping how rivals are made in action games. Like that's how influential this character was. And then you just decide not to mention him and it's like, okay, cool, I guess.
Well, and
That joke
even
really landed, and also nobody fucking got it.
I mean, even just looking at it in the context of even being generous and putting aside the fact that Under the Mayo is just not funny, and he has a dry sense of humor, and I love dry senses of humor, and I don't find him funny, so that I don't know. I feel like that kind of tells you what it needs
Oh,
to.
absolutely.
But
Matthew
like,
Matosis has absolute rippers of dry humor, and Mayo is just god awful.
like a good comparison would be Gaming Brit. He made it a joke that like, haha, I'm gonna mention Devil May Cry in every video. Um, and it is funny when it's funny when he does it because he'll come so fucking left field with it.
He
And
will, and like you somehow never expect it. It's like how in his fucking his Ratchet and Clank reboot review, he was like, "You wouldn't see Dante using a Mr. Zircon, I'll tell you that." And then like there's a
yeah,
freeze frame that says, "Yes, even this 82-minute Ratchet and Clank video has a Devil May Cry reference," and that's just so funny. Like it's charming. And then you
yeah.
get to fucking
And then you get
Under the
Mayo
Veil.
talking about like Doom Eternal in every video, and it's like, no, what he says isn't funny. It's the fact that he does it that's funny, and you might be thinking, well, that's the joke, but I don't think it is because there's not like he legitimately compares things to Doom Eternal, so it's not like
Yeah, he's not making an offhanded joke about a character in a completely different series.
he's not being
Not
cheeky
doing
about it. He's just
Yeah, no, he's
doing
just
it, you know.
yeah, no, he's just genuinely doing something like in earnest.
Anywho,
And so yeah.
we're being so mean to this very innocent, well-respected critic of the
If
YouTube gaming sphere.
if
So
I beat if I beat Devil May Cry 1 by the time we're done with this video, I'm gonna be very, 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 very happy. One, because I'll beat it really quickly, and two, also because the video is gonna be so fucking long.
probably, I mean, it's a 20 minute. It'll probably take us a few hours, but I don't think it'll be super duper long or anything. Probably. Who knows? Well, these fucking S.E.E.S
You
guys.
can never Yeah, you can never tell with this fucker.
But
He's
anywho,
doing well for himself though.
I mean, yeah, he's still doing his thing, and good for him. So if you want to do the pause and such, I'll just I'll pause when I feel necessary. You pause when you feel necessary, and let's do our thing.
Told me to play Devil May Cry, all of them, for years. You may have seen my polarizing, fairly critical episode on DMC5, which was my introduction to the series. But DMC5 was a game that I ultimately came to enjoy once I unlocked higher difficulties and played in the Bloody Palace. I put in 80 hours, it was on my best of the year list, and my video on it was the initial shot fired in my years-long war with people who love style meter games and think that games don't need to be challenging.
No, you were doing fine, and then you just had to put in that fucking dishonest slight. Why?
Yeah, it's really funny to me how he's still on this like huge tear of like, yeah, these fucking people who like style meters and stuff like that. Because like the whole big thing, right? Like the entire thing about his whole argument against style meters is that people who like style meters and everything like that just don't want like difficult games, and like
Which is a
that could not be
straw
further
man
from
as
the truth.
fuck. It's straw man
Not
as
only,
fuck.
not only is it strawman as fuck, but also the fact that like in order to do well like in these style meter games, there's a lot of pressure put on you by like the game and the style meter to do well. So like by definition, these games are at least somewhat difficult. And I know I haven't watched his Bayonetta review, but I know that he talks shit on its difficulty at some point in his video, and like that game's not easy. I haven't finished it yet. That game's not fucking
Yeah,
easy.
I remember that video, and yeah, he talked about it being really easy. And it's again, it's the same with the DMC5 thing. I'm just like, I remember having a pretty hard time here and there, and like actually having to push myself. And I'm not like difficulty subjective, sure, but I don't know when he makes these sweeping objective claims, it confuses me.
And there's also the fact that like when you're reviewing something, you have to be self-aware enough to say, okay, I'm really experienced with games, so like this might be really easy for me, but it might not be easy for other people. And also, just because it's easy for me, like just because something is easy doesn't mean that you can't see the value in it, or you can't see like, the work that went into the mechanics and everything like that.
I'd also like to throw it out there that just because you're not dying 12 times per mission doesn't mean that the missions aren't hard or that there's not any challenge to them.
Yeah, exactly. Like like I've got no doubt Mayo is very good at video games like he says, and because of that he would
Oh
naturally
yeah.
have an easier time than other people. But you can't, like, you have to, like I said, you've got to be self-aware enough to say just because I'm having an easy time with this doesn't mean that everyone else will, and it also doesn't mean that there isn't, mechanical merit or
And
depth in all of these things.
and on a similar in a similar vein, just going on the complete flip side, Mayo talks about how challenging Doom Eternal is, but you and I both, and you don't even play that many shooters. We thought it was fucking easy.
Yeah, Doom Eternal was fucking like that shit was mad easy. Like I played both of them on the normal difficulties. I tried out on hard first, but I decided, or at least on Doom 2016, but then I decided to go on normal, and then I decided to go on normal for Doom Eternal as well. And I had a fair amount of trouble with Doom 2016, but Doom Eternal was like not nearly as hard. It was basically a cakewalk compared to 2016.
Yeah, and the funny part is that we still have people commenting on the Marauder response saying you guys are just mad because you're fucking bad at the game. And I'm like, well, I've killed the Marauder like 30,000 times at this point, so if I'm bad at the game, then I guess the
I've
Marauder's not that fucking like, come on.
I've killed the Marauder many a times, and absolutely none of them were fun times. It sucked. I equate him to like the Fury in Devil May Cry 5, where
Yeah.
like it's a cool enemy in concept, and like, apart from the fact that like his design is awful and so comically edgy, but he just doesn't mesh well with the mechanics at all, just like the Fury.
Yeah, I think if Devil May Cry had an equivalent to like Witch Time from Bayonetta, the Fury would be way fucking cooler. But
True,
it
true,
just
true,
doesn't.
true.
Like with Witch Time, oh man, that enemy I could see fitting right the fuck in with Bayonetta easily.
Oh yeah, because then you can just dance around him while he's in Witch Time and he can't do anything. But
But anyways,
unfortunately, that's not
to
May Cry.
bring it back around, like the man went a full 30 seconds just saying like there was nothing divisive. He was like, "Yep, I got a polarizing video on Devil May Cry 5 and blah 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 blah." And I was like, "Yep, I have problems with the video and all that stuff, but yeah, you're spot on right now." And my however long war with people who like style meters, okay,
Yeah,
and
he
don't
just
want challenging games. It's like, dude, you're
yeah he
talking to someone who's making a fucking billion-hour Elden Ring critique. Like, shut up.
yeah it's just even discounting the fact that he's obviously not talking specifically to us. Like it's just like he's just gotta make this dig at people who like games with style meters, and
Well,
it's like, bro,
he's got to
just take
he's got to straw man it because if he doesn't, then his argument fucking falls apart because he's been misrepresenting people who have problems with his videos for years. And if he can't just like stop doing it,
I mean, he could try to stop doing it. That'd be pretty cool.
oh no, he should. I just don't think he can. Like I don't think he will.
I don't either.
Yeah,
Um,
he's a little
yeah,
butthead.
but he started off real good. I was liking it, and then I wasn't.
Yeah, it's like the writing of Destiny. It was really good. until it wasn't.
Many people have requested that I check out the other games, particularly DMC3, and I finally feel ready. I'm in the mood. But I'm gonna start with the first game. I got the HD collection on Steam, no mods, and I gotta say I really enjoyed DMC1. Not all of it, God is there some bullshit in this game, but it was really good. It's from 2001, I'm willing to forgive some of the issues.
So yeah, on its surface, at its face, that premise, I totally agree with it. I love DMC1, but oh man,
Yep, I've got no problems so far.
I'm at its face value, I completely agree with him.
Yep.
The game was an experiment made after Capcom decided to convert a Street Fighter title into this game. I'm not gonna go too hard on it.
Wait, what? No,
Oh yeah, so that's
Street
another
Fighter. What?
that's another one of his quote unquote jokes. He decided he was gonna say the wrong game was converted into Devil May Cry because he thought it would be funny. Yet again,
Wait, so
congrats.
he said that was like an intentional joke?
I think I remember him saying that either in the comments or in another video. But
So,
yeah,
uh, assuming he said that, it's not funny.
yeah.
And
First of all, it's not.
I'm not saying that in a way that's like bothering. I'm just like, it's not like what?
And also, like, what if you like caught somebody who genuinely like didn't actually know that, like didn't know that it was Resident Evil 4 instead of like Street Fighter, and then like they don't see your other video or your comment because again, I don't remember if it was a comment or if it was just something he said in the video. And then they take that at face value. Congrats, you have just spread misinformation in the form of a joke that wasn't actually a joke. Because, like I said, jokes have to have a punchline.
I mean, I wouldn't even say they
And like,
necessarily have to have a punch, because, oh man, I've heard some funny jokes that like literally just stop without a punch, you know. But I don't know, like
they gotta have, they gotta have a
someone,
good premise and a good like reason for existing.
there needs to be
And
some
that,
kind of setup or some kind of understanding, because like as a viewer, I'm just like, oh, you said something wrong, and then you tell me, well, that was the joke, and I'm just like,
it's a
okay,
shitty joke.
it's like, all right,
You said
funny,
something wrong. You didn't say it in a comedic manner, and like this is another
like,
part where like his dry humor just completely falls flat because like there's no humor to it. You've just said something that's objectively false.
yeah, like I feel like when you have to tell people that you're telling a joke, you're probably not telling the joke very well.
Yeah.
Again, assuming that this was a joke, but you know, for all he could just be fucking wrong, which would be kind of funny. Yeah, whatever, man.
On it and let its problems ruin the entire experience. I guess I'll start with a little history. The reason I never played a DMC game before DMC5, despite being a hack and slash fan that played the hell out of Ninja Gaiden in the original God of War series, is because the world of DMC doesn't really interest me. A white-haired, wisecracking hero fighting ancient gods to techno rock, it just didn't grab me. Ultimately, I only played DMC5 because of viewer recommendations. I'm glad I did, but even though I liked DMC5 a lot, it didn't do anything to make me more interested in the world or characters.
I should probably throw it out there. I love Devil May Cry. Its world building's kind of poo poo.
It's not the best. It's
I
not the
know
best out there.
I
They
know
could definitely.
that's not really what he like. What he's saying is that like he doesn't like the aesthetic isn't. Uh,
Yeah, the aesthetic and world isn't something that he's interested in.
yeah.
It has nothing to do with like the world building and stuff like that. But I would say I half agree with you. I think it's good in some spots, and in others, it's pretty lacking.
I think when they,
Um,
I think the issue is they just don't do it that much. When they do it, I think it's good. Like when they're talking about Sparta and when they talk of, I think
yeah,
this is gonna sound so
I think
fucking weird. I actually think Devil May Cry 2 actually has some kind of decent world building in it. Um, but
it's
yeah,
not bad. Did you know that game was supposed to take place in Manhattan?
what the fuck? Wait, what?
Yeah, that game was supposed to Devil May Cry 2 was supposed to take place in Manhattan, and you were supposed to be able to like free roam and like run around and jump on buildings and shit.
Oh my god.
They wanted
Oh,
it
wait.
the original director wanted it to be a completely different game and wanted it to be like the biggest game ever at the time.
Lucy. Oh my god.
Yeah,
I need you to. Okay, when did Devil May Cry 2 come out?
Devil May Cry 2 came out in 2003.
So, Dante in Manhattan with infected, not helicopters, flying into demonic skyscrapers. Do I need to
Are
say
you
it?
making are you making a prototype reference?
No, I'm saying Dante should have stopped 9/11. That would have been funny.
Oh, I think that was part of the reason that they changed it was because of the fact that they knew they wanted to release the game in the West, and because of 9/11 recently happening, they didn't want a whole bunch of stuff about Dante like cruising through and like jumping across buildings and having that shit be destroyed and everything. And I think that was part of the reason that it was changed, which obviously only further completely evaporated the fucking game's ability to like succeed because they had to change it yet again.
I just
It's just so funny to me that apparently the game was originally supposed to be like a free roamer,
I'm just
which
wait. I'm just my mind is stuck on this. It's so terrible. I was like not.
Dante just fucking like air raids up to the plane and just like pull over and then just shoots it down.
Fucking enemy steps his way up the World Trade Center.
Like, he does the fucking shotgun flying mechanic from Devil May Cry
Yeah.
1
Oh my god.
up to the plane, and while he's shooting this demon with a shotgun in order to keep him in the air, he's just like, "You better pull this plane over right now."
Goes up to the pilot. That's not very wacky wahoo of you. Oh my god.
Bit off track, but holy shit, it was worth it.
Yeah, 9/11 was a national tragedy.
So here I am with the DMC collection, ready to pick DMC 1 from the list. And damn, who's that? Can I play a game about her? I hope she.
Same, based.
Very based, very based. Although I will admit, like every time you talked about a woman in any video I've seen you in, it's just commenting on her appearance.
Yeah.
Not saying that like that's a bad thing. It is, but like it is a bit of a weird look.
I was gonna say we're kind of notoriously horny, but like
We are, but at the same time, obviously our substance goes beyond just that.
I'm horny for the character, not for her appearance.
I'm horny.
Hi, horny. I'm Loveless.
Hi, it's good to see you.
What are you coming on to me?
She's in DMC 1. Spoilers, she's not. Right away in the opening, I found myself pretty interested. The opening crawl is short and to the point. There was an old war between humans and the underworld. Ancient powerful being Sparta used to protect Earth. The Dark Lord Mundus kills him. Got it. The tone of the first cutscene starts off serious, with a pretty grounded scene of Dante just taking business calls at his shop, where I guess we don't know what he does yet, but he's working.
Oh, don't worry, Mayo. You never know what he does. I mean, obviously it's a front because he does his little demon hunting shit. But imagine like imagine you're just walking through the city, right, and you see a shop called Devil Never Cry, and the dumbest.
Yeah, that was a pretty dumb name. I don't know who the fuck.
That one.
I don't know who the fuck thought about that, but I need them to stop.
Dante's not too good at this naming gig. But
I
yeah,
don't know. He came up with Devil May Cry, and that was pretty good.
that one was pretty good. Yeah, it was all right. But yeah, imagine just like you're walking through the city and you see this store and you walk in and it's like you're just a casual passerby. You're like, oh, what's this place? And Dante's just like, what? You're like, what do you do here? He's like, oh, I do my thing. And you're just like, wait a minute, why are the lights off? And he's like, don't worry about it. It's like, what the fuck? What's happening? What's going on here?
Yeah, I think Dante canonically is like on like the, as far as people know, he's like a handyman who just sort of takes dirty jobs. I also don't know whether or not this is like a joke on Mayo's part, and he's like, "Yeah, you don't know what he does," and like obviously you do know, or if like Mayo just genuinely like doesn't know.
I
that's
try.
that's sort of where I'm at with Mayo is like I can't tell what is a joke and what is just genuine incompetence on his part.
He
Like
talks.
I know it
He talks the
sounds
same.
really it sounds yeah, it sounds really mean, I know, but it's just it's just how the quality of his videos are. I don't know whether or not he's being serious or if he's just genuinely that incompetent that he doesn't know what Dante does.
Yeah, I don't think it's mean because I can't tell. He's so monotoned. And some people are monotone. I'm not like giving him shit for it. It's just I don't know when the jokes start and or stop. All I know is that his videos are a joke.
True. Speaking of jokes, here's something that I had to witness, and now you have to witness it too.
Hmm? What? So did you like send me something?
Yeah, I sent you something in Discord.
Oh, what could it be? I saw that. I saw that posted on a group. So I don't. Where the fuck did I see that? I don't know. I was having a kidney stone attacking me when I saw it. So
And then you were like, but what if while my kidney stone was attacking me, we did seize? And I was like, all right, for some reason, I'm just letting you do this.
yeah. I mean, I feel fine now. Like I said, I'm drugged up. Oh, if you can, I'm just gonna send more. Actually, I need to take my medicine in a couple of hours. So let me set an alarm. Week.
Yeah, no problem.
Cool, cool. But anywho,
And suddenly, the grounded tone is shattered when this girl Trish bursts into his business, crashing her motorcycle through the front door. It's so over the top and stupid, I couldn't help but love it. This opening moment is
same.
actually pretty representative of the overall tone of DMC1. Fairly restrained and serious, punctuated with moments of utter insanity. It worked for me. It's not constantly ridiculous and extreme like I remember DMC5 being. I don't have much to say about the story here, but I thought it was fine for what it is, and I somewhat warmed up to Dante, as he stayed mostly quiet, and when he did speak, he was usually speaking like a normal person, just throwing in a sassy quip here and there when the moment called for it.
What a big surprise. I hope for your sake you got something inside that big body of yours.
Before I get to the game,
I love that.
Uh,
I love that old school
yeah,
like old Resident Evil, especially where the voice acting is just insane.
yeah. Phantom's voice though, it's a fucking chef's kiss. I fucking love Phantom's voice so much.
Yeah, the performance and like the modulation on it's so fucking good.
Yeah, it's that's honestly just kind of something that Devil May Cry has just always been like really good at for some reason is like their ability to create unique and interesting voices, especially through modulation, is just really like I haven't seen many studios besides Capcom who are capable of doing it as well. Like fucking Burial, for example.
Oh man, Urizen's voice was fucking menacing.
It was, and like everybody like it sounds nothing like Dan Southworth, despite the fact that it is just Dan Southworth.
I remember
Like they did a
like
really good job on it.
I remember right before the game came out, someone like undid the modulation on Urizen's voice, and you can hear
Yeah,
like just Dan saying it, and I was like, "Ooh, that's cool."
yeah. Because like it sounds, he did a good enough job that like it sounds like Virgil, but it also like doesn't at the same time.
Yeah, it's Virgil's voice, but very different.
hmm
It's good shit.
Capcom is very good at that voice modulation, and I
Mm-hmm.
really like it. Phantom is just like the first example. Did you know that like all of the monsters up to Devil May Cry 4 were voiced by like the same guy?
I could
At
believe.
least the male ones.
I think
Like
I could
Phantom,
buy that. I could buy that. Yeah.
yeah, like Phantom, Beowulf, Cerberus, and Burial were all
Mm,
voiced by the same dude.
yeah, I could see that. You did a good job.
Very good job. And also, like, he, first of all, he did a very good performance, and Capcom did a very good job at modulating his voice to sound completely distinct in every uh, performance.
Yep.
Gameplay, I talk about a defining aspect of this game, and that's the camera style.
It's so bad.
DMC1 uses a mix of fixed angles and following camera that was an absolute treat to see. Right from the opening shot, I was blown away by the stunning cinematography on offer. This is nothing new for the viewers of my channel. I highly value cinematography in games, and it was something that disappointed me in DMC5, the player-controlled camera that framed every location the same way. I'm not saying it's not nice to be able to rotate the camera during action, and yes, I admit that sometimes I wish I could, but I really liked how most of the action is framed here. We get beautiful downward shots of Dante's relative smallness in giant cathedrals, shots in front of Dante as he runs away from the castle. I love how the camera shows you that there's a walkway up on another level, and it had me curious as to how I was going to get up there. Once I did end up there, hours later, I had that moment of saying, oh, hey, I'm on that walkway from earlier. And the only reason that moment happens is because the camera draws your attention to it, framing it as something important. I love, love, love the camera in this game. It helped me enjoy an environment that I'm typically not the biggest fan of, castles. It's amazing what great cinematography can achieve. And for the most part, I found the camera to be unproblematic during combat. For the most part.
So, as far as the environmental stuff and just general movement, I feel you. I feel you, Mayo. But
Yeah, because like I will admit, yeah, like I would absolutely prefer not to have fixed camera angles, but yes, I will admit like they do a pretty good job with the camera angles that are there, but also at the same time, like it's just I'm sorry, Mayo. I understand you prefer it, but you're never gonna get people on your side that fixed camera angles, at least in an action game, are a good idea.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
It's
I'm not
well,
against fixed cameras. My issue specifically with Devil May Cry 1 is that the movement in that game is not the best, and when you give me a very fixed camera that I cannot adjust, I remember one part of the game specifically, it's towards the end of the game. I don't remember where I think it's like when you start entering the nightmare world or whatever the fuck.
the
Some
underworld.
the some of the platforming is just fucking awful because you like there's no sense of depth perception and trying to gauge where exactly Dante is like
Oh yeah.
again as far as like depth goes is very bizarre. Like sometimes you'll think you're jumping right to another platform but then like you're off to the left of it because you didn't it's hard to put together. It's hard to describe, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no actual
The
sense
bridge,
of
when the bridge breaks apart, that's a really good example of the camera. I wish it was a
yeah,
free control
um,
camera.
there's no sense of equilibrioception in the
Wow,
games as
all
far as
those
platforming.
syllables, fucking smart person over here.
Yeah, yeah, no, I completely get you. It's just there's no depth perception. Dante's shadow behaves in a weird way, and that's like the most important piece of a 3D platforming puzzle.
Yeah,
Um,
that's another thing. Oh God, if they ever remake this game, which they're going to, we all know it.
yeah,
It so real time lighting is a thing in games now. That's great. There better be some accounting for it that if we're still going to be using fixed cameras, which I would imagine they probably will, at least in some
I could go
scenarios.
either way on that. I
Yeah,
wouldn't mind them using fixed camera angles if they made the movement a lot smoother, and if they also
yeah,
accounted by having because like what you could do, like one solution I would provide is that Dante has a light shadow and then a dark shadow, and that light shadow will basically behave. It'll be a lighter shade of black on all of the environments, and it will behave like a normal shadow. and then Dante will have a darker shadow that constantly stays under him, but is masked by the light shadow most of the time, so that people don't notice it unless they're platforming.
Yeah, I really like that idea
That's what.
actually.
That's what. That's yeah. Because then you have the shadow acting as it should in normal environments, and then you also have it acting in a way that's very good to account for platforming. If we're going for fixed camera angles, if we're not going for
Yeah.
fixed camera angles, I don't think we really necessarily need it. It would be nice, but in Devil May Cry 5, there was platforming that was fine without that accounting for it. Um,
I think the my core issue is that there's never going to be a moment when you have a freely controlled camera that you need a fixed camera. Whereas there is almost inevitably, unless literally all of it's perfectly designed, which is going to be incredibly fucking hard to manage, there is inevitably going to be an instance of this would function so much better with the free camera.
Pretty
You know
much,
what I mean?
especially
Like
especially boss fights.
the fixed cameras can be nice, but they're not necessary. Whereas there is inevitably going to be an instance, like I said, with the broken bridge or with the underworld platforming, where a free camera would just objectively be much better.
Yeah, because yeah, especially in this game, the yeah, like you said, there's just absolutely no sense of like where Dante is in the world whatsoever,
Hmm.
and it just makes the platforming awful.
And something I said this forever ago in one of our episodes at least. I think the best case scenario would be kind of like in that RE5 DLC, uh, something nightmares, the one where Chris and
Yeah,
Jill are going after
where
Wesker in the house, where you have the
I've never
option.
actually played,
Was that?
I said I've never actually played that.
It's
I need
really
to get
good.
around to that.
I liked it. That DLC gives you the option. It's kind of like an Easter egg, but when you know about it, it's basically an option. You can play it with the typical RE5 camera, or you can play it with fixed cameras, which I think is really cool because the game still has tank controls, so it totally works.
Yeah,
And
it's one of those situations where if you're gonna give us a fixed camera, it needs to be like it either needs to be an option or the game needs to be so like well designed for it. Like for example, right? Like I never personally have a problem playing the RE1 remake because the game is made with
hmm
fixed camera angles like completely in mind, and there's tank controls, so that obviously makes it even better. Devil
yeah,
May Cry 1 is not made with tank controls, and very clearly, in some ways at least, it feels like they wanted to have free cameras and they just didn't because they couldn't.
yeah,
And then every other game in the series always just had it, despite the fact that everybody has been complaining since day one. Please, for the love of God, stop putting these in there. Um,
indeed.
because of basically tradition. It was just one of those vestigial elements of RE that just never got that the series just never got away from.
Yeah, and I'm really glad. I think Devil May Cry 4, I will say its fixed cameras are really fucking good. But
Yeah,
even then, I can think of a couple instances where I'm like, I can say, there's to give a example when you're how do I describe this? It's the platforming where you have to like follow the platforms while the Mephistos, is that what they're called? The ghost dudes. They're like,
yeah, the basic ones are Fistos. Oh, those, yeah, where
and if
like
you fall, you have to fight
there's like a
the
trail of footprints. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
If
There's
that
like the
had
trail of
if that had a fixed camera, that part would be a fucking pain in the ass. That part would suck.
yep.
But it doesn't, and
And
you're able to freely look around, which is really fucking nice in an environment like that. So yeah.
funnily enough, we have DMC of all things to thank for finally getting rid of that, for finally bucking that trend. That's like the one good thing that it did for the series.
Yeah. Oh show. Oh yeah. When's the Lucy DMC Devil May Cry critique?
Let me focus on Overture, and then I'll get back to you on that.
Dragon's Dogma anime review.
Let me
We're gonna.
focus on.
I got Dragon's Dogma on my backlog. If I beat that game before we start seeing that video, I'd be upset.
Well, it also partially depends on how long this fucking Guilty Gear video takes. Because I'm
True.
actually motivated.
Feeling a little motivated.
Yes. But anyway,
Because
yeah.
sometimes I couldn't see shit. I died several
Yeah.
times due to
Yeah, isn't it fucking frustrating when that happens?
Are you suddenly like not wondering why people don't like this? Like I understand like here's the thing, right? If it's not in action games, I'm all for it. If it is in action games, you gotta account real fucking hard for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I can think of games with fixed cameras that I love. Not even just Resident Evil, but like Catherine. It frames all of the puzzles and environments so fucking beautiful. That game looks amazing. Fucking hell. I
Original
love Catherine.
P3, yeah, original P3 and P4 had fixed camera angles, and
Yep.
even Persona 5 does, and they do a great job with them for the most part.
Yeah, Persona 5 has some great moments with fixed cameras. Speaking of which, you should beat Royal. You ho.
Man, if I ever feel motivated enough to play Persona 5, that game that I don't fucking like, I'll get back to you
I
on
need
that.
no, no, no. I need our audience who has played Persona 5. I need y'all to understand, okay? This motherfucker right here plays Persona 5 Royal, finally gets into it, finds
I got
not
bored.
finds,
I,
but meets Maruki meets Maruki, loves him, understandably. Maruki's a fucking giga chad, and has not reached third semester yet, and it is killing me that I cannot talk about third semester with
I'm
someone who is
sorry.
also a Maruki enjoyer.
I'm sorry. I really want to finish the game, but I got burnt out on it, and every time I keep trying to play it, it's just fucking miserable
You
because
also
like I
keep talking shit about Akechi, and I'm like, God damn it, that.
because base P5 Akechi deserves to get dunked on.
Base
Because
P5
like
Akechi is kind of poo poo. You're not wrong.
I didn't like Persona 5 base Persona 5 that much, and me being the fool that I am, I played that first, and then Royal came out, and I've tried multiple times to finish it, and it just it's just pain. It's just pain because in order to get to the good stuff of Royal, I have to first play 100 hours of base P5, and base P5, even with Royal's improvements, still has been a big fucking slog.
I was gonna say, like, on your first playthrough of P5, it's I think the first playthrough of P5 is probably the most enjoyable, and then after that, like, replays are just such a slog.
True, I definitely did not enjoy all of my P5 playthrough, but the first one
No,
on base
but
was yeah, it was definitely the most enjoyable because I
yeah.
remember too when I beat the game for the first time, I immediately after those credits rolled, I was like, "Yes, it's time. New game plus." And then I was reminded as soon as I started of how long the actual opening stretch of the game was, and I
Oh
just
my
immediately
god, it's
I
so
never
long.
touched that. I never touched that version of the game again on my PS3. Never.
I was tempted to go for the platinum trophy, and then I was like, no, I just can't do it. And then P5 Royal came out, and it's like you can get the platinum trophy in one run, and I was like, oh, base, let's fucking go.
And then of course it also didn't help that when I started P5 Row I had to do the fucking intro all over again. I need an option in every Persona game going forward. Please let people skip the intros. They're so like Persona 3's is the best, and even then I'm like, bro, just let me play the game.
Oh man, remember when you first booted up Persona 3 Reload, and you're like, wait a minute, I'm walking through Iwatodai at night at the start of the game?
That was pretty based, yeah. And then like less than an hour later, or like yeah, an hour to an hour and a half later, I'm like, holy shit, I'm already controlling the fucking characters. Is this how it was in the original game? And you were like, yeah, yeah. It turns out P3 just had a really like succinct and small opening that didn't waste your fucking time and didn't
I
take 5 hours.
I fucking adore the intro to P3. I think it's fucking incredible. It's so fucking good. Oh my
If
god. Hey
you want
guys,
to go,
Persona 3 Reload's my favorite game of all time. If any of you say anything bad about it, I swear to God, I will chop your face off.
speaking of, there is an hour long video on Persona 3 Reload that might be good to do a season on.
Oh shit! There's a lot of Persona 3 videos I could see us doing a fucking season.
How Persona 3 lost its identity.
Oh, okay, okay,
That's
all
a video by
right.
Nom Compendium. Nom makes good videos.
Uh, fucking what the fuck? Anyways,
Oh,
let's
before we continue, I'm gonna go grab a drink.
already. So yeah, I guess for those of you who might be watching this and wondering, what's Levels up to as far as the non-seas content right now? Elden Ring critique is definitely still my big focus. I've got the next two parts recorded with the audio edited. I just got to make the videos. Like I said, I'm going on a trip next month, so that stuff should be done and going up throughout the month of July. Because I'm gonna be very busy for pretty much the entirety of it, even just beyond the trip. Um, Aside from that, I got another Dragon Ball Z, the last part of the Saiyan Saga, revisiting. That's coming up. The next part of my gaming backlog is coming up. That episode's gonna be pretty fun. And I have a lot of projects planned. I kind of have I have a very long term roadmap, but it's also a roadmap is kind of inaccurate because I don't know the I'm gonna be doing these just as I feel like it. But as of right now, after Elden Ring critique is definitely going to be the New Vegas review because people have been asking for that. I cannot believe how much that New Vegas DLC video is blown up. That shit paid my rent like twice. I was so happy about it.
Damn, that's impressive.
Yeah. Thank you all very much for the feedback on that video. It was very much appreciated. I was very happy. Made me a very happy boy. So anyways, shall we continue?
Yes, I think that we shall.
Castles. It's amazing what great cinematography can achieve. And for the most part, I found the camera to be unproblematic during combat. For the most part, because sometimes I couldn't see shit. I died several times due to camera frustration. And don't get me started on the final fight with the Nightmare, where half the time I can't see if the blue ball is vulnerable or not. I'm interested to see how the sequels improve on the camera system, because I like it. There's just some poor implementation in crucial moments that lead to unnecessary frustration.
Which game do you think is going to be his favorite as far as cameras? I imagine the toss-up is obviously DMC 3 and 4.
Actually, I think it's probably gonna be 4 because I remember him not really liking the environments of DMC3 that much.
Oh yeah. That's
That, and I would just say that of the games that have fixed camera angles, like 4 just kind of objectively has the best. Even though its environments are really bland, it has some
yeah.
it does have some really strong cinematography with its camera angles.
Oh man, I don't think it's going to happen for a long time if it even does happen. But a DMC4 remake, those environments could fucking pop in the RE engine.
True. Also, I speaking of one of my most vivid memories of DMC4 is actually the first time that I played like the demo when I was like 11 years old. And I came up to that Fortuna Castle for the first time, and it showed
Mhm.
that big sweeping angle of the castle.
Yeah.
That shit was pretty cool.
That was a great
It's
demo.
it was a wonderful demo. The fucking time attack, and then just focus on the boss fight. It fucking blew my mind when I first played it. I was like, they expect me to do all of this in 10 minutes, and nowadays it's like 10 minutes, more than enough time.
Oh man, making a demo, making a good game, like making a good game is already an art form, right? But like making a good game demo is such a there's so much thought that has to go into that, I would imagine.
Yeah, unlike the FF7 Rebirth demo, which was like a year old build of the game.
Oh boy. Oh, have you played Rebirth yet?
Not yet. I just haven't been interested enough to buy it personally.
Fair enough. I think I've
And I
asked you
also,
to
I also, I've
go.
also, I'm also partially waiting until I get the chance to get a PS5 as well because I know the game's gonna run like fucking ass on the PlayStation 4.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. Yeah, no, I would not get that game on PS4. Um, so I don't think I've asked you this. This is very off topic, but did you play the Dragon Ball Z Budokai and Tenkaichi games growing up?
I didn't play all of them. I played a decent number though.
Okay. Do you have any interest in Sparking Zero? Because I think we could have some fucking fun with that game. And
Uh,
also, they might be releasing a demo soon because a lot of content creators got, I guess, some kind of demo that they were allowed to like make videos on, and that get, uh, oh my god, like literally only excited for like 3 games this year: Persona 3 Reload, which was my favorite game ever; Sparking Zero, which I cannot, it looks so good; and Black Ops 6, only because I'm curious about zombies. Um, if I can come out this year just with a fucking great remake of my favorite game and a follow up to one of my favorite game series from the PS2 days, I just, man, man,
so I'm interested in Sparking Zero as a Dragon Ball Z fan, but my only problem with it is I'm worried about the game itself because it is an arena fighter, and a lot of arena fighters, especially ones made by fucking Bandai. Well, I say made by Bandai. They make like all of them. They generally don't have a lot of depth to them, which means that they're very flashy, very cool to look at, but there's not much to actually do in them. That's my only like gripe with it. So it's probably going to be one of the first games where like I've actually played the demo in like forever, um,
I think
just to see how it is.
if I were to judge purely off Tenkaichi 3, that game it has a surprising amount of depth. It has a very, it's kind of like Fighters where it has a very low skill floor but a very high skill ceiling because and same with the original Budokai games, like when you got good at those games, it was fucking noticeable because some of the shit you could do was wild. Um from what
Interesting.
I can't really say much from what I've seen because all I've seen is the trailer stuff and a couple of people who, trying the demo out for the first time. They're not going to have a very, complex understanding of it or anything.
Yeah.
But I will say that game is that game is looking very flashy and stylish because, oh man, the environments are so destructible. There's so many like niche animations like when Gogeta does his pose, like when he goes Super Saiyan Blue, like he buffs up. Um I remember in Tenkaichi 3, like if you beat future Gohan in a beam struggle, he'd lose his arm, which was so fucking cool. Goku, like characters' clothes would tear and look like they did in the like Goku. If you beat him in a beam struggle, he'd look like on Namek. That kind of stuff is really cool to me. So
Yeah.
yeah, that game
I would. I would.
that game's looking yummy good.
I would say I'm cautiously interested if they release a demo of it, and
We should stream that if they do. That'd be fun.
yeah, if they release a demo of it and it's good, then I'll go ahead and get the game. But
Sweet.
the demo will heavily influence, and
I'm
also like all of the press leading up to it, because I know Bandai, oof, Bandai is a very, very, very scummy company sometimes, and I know that in terms of like how they make games is just awful.
I will say they seem extremely confident with this game because, like I said, they gave out a demo to like all these content creators who are just they are nutting over this thing. Like I cannot go anywhere without seeing someone else like super hyped for this game and talking about how great it felt to play.
That's
Um,
fair. I guess
and
I
every
can see.
and I will say like I know you don't generally. I mean, it's an arena fighter, so trailers, you're free to watch those obviously, but like the reception to every trailer has been so good. There's the only complaint, and it's not even a complaint, is that if you want to do local multiplayer, originally they weren't gonna do it, but fans wanted it, so they implemented it. But because of all that's going on in the game with the destructible environments and all the effects going on, they had to restrict it to the hyperbolic time chamber, which is kind of a bummer. But I mean,
Yeah,
at least the mode still exists. And oh, and one more thing I just remembered. If you're playing a character and you like start charging up into a super powerful form, like the weather will start changing like it would in the show. You'll get like
nice.
different lighting in the arena. It's so cool. I can't fucking wait for that game.
Yeah, if the demo is good and I like it, then I'll go ahead and get it. Otherwise, I don't know if I'll be too terribly interested. But yeah, I mean, Bandai also like they know that if they fuck up a DBZ game, things are going to be bad for them, because I know that they've fucked up a couple of
Hmm.
DBZ games in the past. like fucking Ultimate Tenkaichi, which was literally just rock paper scissors the game. It was so
Oh,
bad.
that yeah, there was a good like few years. Like after Tenkaichi 3 up until I'd say Xenoverse, the first Xenoverse 1 really like it had its problems, but like it really turned things around for their Dragon Ball games specifically.
Yeah, I wish I liked Xenoverse more because it's a really cool idea. I just don't think the game has the depth to warrant playing it for too long, and also, oh my god, the grind in that game is so absurd.
Yeah, I just got the Platinum Trophy for the PS5 version, and I got the PS4 one a few months back, of course, and yeah, the game's grind is I really enjoy it, but it's so repetitive.
Yeah,
Playing with friends, it's nowhere near as repetitive because you're playing with your buddies and you're just you're having a good time. But yeah, solo, which is what I primarily play, yeah, it can take a while. Oh yeah, that reminds me, the Supreme Kai of Time event's going on right now. I gotta go unlock her after this probably.
whoa, you can unlock the Supreme Kai of Time. Whoa.
Yeah, apparently she's really really good. I haven't played her, of course, because I've had
I
this
would
game
hope
all these years.
she's
But
really good considering she's a new unit.
yeah, yeah. But anywho,
We've gotten really off topic.
a
I
little
don't
bit.
care.
I mean, to be fair, we've made it. Look, we made it 5 minutes into this video. We're only an hour into our Cs. Like, this is like a record.
No, yeah, that's pretty insane.
Oh my god, remember that. This is off topic. I don't give a fuck. Remember that DMC5 video where the one guy starts out just asking so many questions about the
Oh
plot?
god, yeah,
Oh, that
that
was
was so bad.
that was
That
fucking
video was so
painful.
painful.
That I
I
think that was the most because by the time we got to the end, we were fucking dead. Like,
Yeah, it also didn't help that we had already been fucking recording for 5 fucking hours before that point.
yeah,
So
yeah.
like we were
Yeah,
and
because
like
before
also
that we started out because I
also
think before that was the Umbas is it Umbasa Mufa? I always fucking forget his name.
yeah, it was Umbasa Mufasa, and I also remember that I had like extra reasons to be cranky because that was when Texas had like statewide freeze. So I was just fucking freezing for 10 hours straight, which just made it even worse.
Oh man, what a time. Anywho, yeah.
What a bad video.
Yeah, under the Mayo, you know what? We give you a lot of shit. Your video here, anyways, is better than that video. It's
So
far
far,
far less painful. Yeah, yeah.
true.
This is one area where you really got to give the win to the God of War games. The camera does a much better job at keeping the action in frame.
So I
All
know
right, look.
he's not really stoking the flames here, I'll say. But isn't doesn't he have didn't he make a video after his Devil May Cry 3 video saying like God of War is better than Devil May Cry or something?
Yes, I don't know if that was the exact title, but yeah, basically that video was why I think Devil May Cry is better than or worse than God of War.
There
I
is a
understand
there
like
just real quick, there is a delicious irony in someone who particularly stands the original God of War games saying that they're better than Devil May Cry when the guy who made the original God of War game says they're not as good as Devil May Cry.
yeah, but God of War is it's so
I like the
cool
original God of Wars,
and
by the way.
flat.
I should make that clear. Like I replayed God of War 3. It was in like my backlog stuff. This is my first video, I think, not too long ago, and I still love them. I think they're fucking awesome. But better than Devil May Cry? Not better than Devil May Cry 3. I would actually say I'd probably like God of War 2 more than Devil May Cry 1. God of War 2 fucking slaps.
That's fair.
That game's good.
I have not played them. I have not played them in forever, and I don't think I've ever actually. I don't know if I've completed one before, which is why I don't generally like speak on God of War whenever it's brought up, like every single time in his videos.
Yeah.
At least in this case, it's like actually relevant, unlike when he like brings up Doom Eternal.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's I'll give the point to him. This is a completely fair and reasonable comparison, and I agree. God of War, because this is God of War 2, if I'm not mistaken. Its camera angles are really good. They definitely beat out Devil May Cry
Yeah,
1, if you
I
ask me.
can't. I I can't say anything on the matter. Yeah,
I will say
I'm halfway through.
the first God of War, and granted it's the first one. Some of its camera angles, oh god, they're bad.
Oh yeah, I'm halfway through DMC one, by the way.
Amazing. So you're where are you right now?
I'm on mission 11.
Like what's your next boss, or what's the last boss you beat?
Last boss was Griffin 1.
Griffin 1. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool beans.
The map
Next
is
one will be
one
Noah
big
Angelo.
puzzle to unlock, backtracking Metroidvania style, mostly finding keys or emblems to unlock areas. But there's a fun thing to do here and there, like when you crank the door and have to quickly make your way downstairs to pass through the opening. There's a bit of platforming, which is welcome, albeit a bit clumsy in some sections, and that can also be frustrating.
No.
My man, I never thought I'd say this in my
No.
I never
I'm
thought
sorry.
I would say this in my fucking life. Under the Mayo, you are being way too generous with Devil May Cry right now. No, DMC 1's platforming is booty cheeks. It's bad.
Oh, it is. It is awful. It's not welcome in the slightest.
And
That shit
again,
is so bad.
and
Get
again,
that man. Get my man.
I say this
Go
with
ahead.
all the love in the world for Devil May Cry 1. Its platforming is booty cheeks.
Get my man Hideki Kamiya out the fucking kitchen right goddamn now. He cannot cook platforming. Well, okay, he couldn't cook platforming for shit back then. Bayonetta's platforming is okay
I
from what I've
think
seen of it.
yeah, I think Bayonetta's platforming from what I remember, it's been a couple years now, but I don't remember having any particular issues. I think Bayonetta 2 and 3 had pretty good platforming, if I'm correct. If I
Yeah,
remember
no, Devil May
correctly.
Cry 1's platforming, especially with all the issues we've mentioned of like the camera and especially Dante's shadow, which again, that's like the most important aspect of any 3D platformer is the shadow underneath the player.
Yeah. Also,
At
his
least
jump is just really stiff, you know?
it is, and that makes sense in terms of like combat because like when you do a jump in combat, you commit to it. You don't get to just stop it for
Yeah.
nothing unless you have an air hike, and even then, you've only got two of those unless you decide to jump cancel, which requires skill. I get that. Makes perfect sense for combat. Doesn't for platformers because in platformers, the entire thing about platformers is that the jumping is very free form. It flows very well. It's not platforming is not built around that in the fucking slightest. It sucks so bad.
Yeah, let's just say Mr. Redgrave here is no Mega Man. We'll say that.
No, he is not. Speaking of, I should play Mega Man again. That series is fucking fire, dude.
Mega Man is fucking so cool. He's a G, you know? Who doesn't love Mega Man? He's a cool
He's a
little guy.
cool guy who doesn't afraid of anything.
He's a cool little blue guy, doesn't afraid of anything, and he shoots out some lemons. It's fucking cool, man.
And
Bro.
I don't imagine that anyone likes the swimming sections. I would
Based!
Very base.
I know what
Base
Lucy's gonna say. Lucy's gonna say, ah, it only lasts a minute.
It does. I'm not saying it's good, but they only last like a minute. But
Yeah.
100%, I agree. They suck.
Yeah, they're poop.
They only last a minute, but they do suck.
Remember Gaming Brit? He's just like, guys, no.
No, I'm not. Yeah, just I'm not talking about this. And you know what? 100% fine.
Yep.
wouldn't be surprised if I didn't see them return in the sequels. So let's get to the gameplay. What did I think of the combat, the enemies, the ranking system, all that? Please keep in mind that you will not be seeing footage of animation canceling or taunts or rapid fire air pistols. Look, I'm not a DMC player. I'm just a guy.
This is
What
another
the
thing that Mayo does
Wait,
that
what?
really annoys the fuck out of me is that he assumes that you can't get high skill gameplay when like he assumes that he just can't get high skill gameplay or like anything like that, or that people expect him to be the best player ever. First of all, none of the tech in Devil May Cry 1 is that hard to do, first of all.
I was gonna say, I remember him doing half that shit in DMC 5 every now and then. Like, what the hell happened?
And also it's really annoying how every single time he's played one of these games, he has to put up this big shield of, "Oh, I'm not a pro player." Okay, that doesn't give you an excuse to suddenly misrepresent the game or play the game poorly or anything like that.
I just, I, when he
it
started
feels like he's good.
when he started this point, I was expecting him to just be like, this is only footage of my first playthrough, where it'd been a while since I'd even played a Devil May Cry game, so don't expect me to be like the greatest. And I would have been like, oh yeah, yeah, that's totally fine, man. If I recorded any footage of me playing DMC1, I'm sure that I could probably say similar things. But instead he turns it into this whole like, guys, I'm not a pro, leave me alone. It's like, what the fuck, like, who who hurt
Yeah,
you?
basically,
Like,
basically like sympathy baiting, and like it very much feels like he's putting up a shield.
and I was literally just thinking, I'm like, his gameplay footage isn't bad. Like, I've been watching him and I'm like, no, he's look at him go. He's doing some shit. I don't need you to be fucking, what's his name? Who was that pro Devil May Cry guy that we used to smoke? Was it Smoke?
Smoke. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
smoke.
expect you to be Smoke, but like, don't.
Yeah, basically, if you're gonna make a review of something, don't try to immediately put up a criticism shield by saying, "Oh, I'm not a high level player. I don't care." That doesn't mean that your video should be of any worse quality, or that you should suddenly be playing worse, or that you're suddenly like immune to criticism of your gameplay.
Yeah, like if he had just said, um, I tried some of this stuff here and there, but just couldn't get the hang of it. And again, this is only one playthrough. I would have been like, yeah, man, cool, no problem.
Instead, it's like, "Oh yeah, don't expect me to like be good at the game." And it's like, "Okay, like I guess,
It's kind of funny coming from
cool."
Mr. I'm so good at hack and slashes and haha, your games are easy, my game's hard, but whatever,
I'm the
man.
kind of people are expecting a God of War Ragnarok review out of me. Okay.
Oh my god. Don't even get me. Ugh. Fuck off. Fucking
Yeah,
Jesus
basically just
Christ.
like like as long as you try your best to play the game the way that the developers intended to, you don't need to put up some kind of like shield. Like
Yeah.
just play the game, try to represent yourself as well as you can, and try to represent the game as objectively as possible. And people will like that. People are drawn to that. That's one of the reasons I'm drawn to Mahler. For all of his faults, he always does his best to portray whatever piece of media he covers as objectively and as real as possible. And he doesn't feel the need to put up some kind of criticism shield whenever he's criticizing something.
Yeah. Like going back to my Elden Ring critique, like I've already had people being like, "Oh yeah, I've seen your gameplay. You're not that good." And I'm like, "Well, your hard game must be pretty fucking easy then." Um, I don't like. Who fucking cares what random commenters are gonna be if they're gonna be like, "Oh well, I don't see you doing the fucking super ultra mega wombo combo chocolatey dipped fudge coated super attack." And it's just like no one cares. Like
Yeah,
people who unironically say that shit are like 13. You don't have to give a shit what they say.
they're 13-year-olds. It doesn't matter. And like yeah, like you have to pick and choose what comments matter to you. Personally speaking, unless somebody says something that's actually of substance about my gameplay, I don't care. It's like if I were to say that Devil May Cry's combat is like really frustrating and like really restrictive and stuff like that, which to an extent it is, and then I just show myself doing nothing but stingers over and over again, then like yeah, if somebody pointed that out and
Yeah.
said, "Hey, I think you're misrepresenting the game here," then like yeah, that's totally fair. But if I'm like playing relatively well and I'm like not doing anything like bad and somebody's like, "Oh, your gameplay's dog shit," then like yeah, just fuck them. Who cares?
Oh
It's not
yeah,
that.
there was one guy who commented on my DMC5 video and he was like, you said you played 600 hours, but looking at your gameplay, I just don't believe it. And I'm like, "Oh, well, fuck you. I don't care." Like I
I
fucking give a shit if you think I've played 600 hours of this fucking game here. Like hold this L. I don't care.
yeah, who fucking cares?
I
But
I think
you are a okay, man. Oh, you're a okay.
Yeah, and I will say, like, because I just, I recently went back and watched I Hate Everything's Destiny videos. Those videos are fucking amazing. Holy shit, they're so good. And they're such a, like, time capsule, uh, they're such, they serve as such good capturings of, like, the game at the time of when he released those videos. Um, and, he gets so many fucking comments about, like, you're not using the best version of that gear or whatever the fuck, and he just, like I hate everything is if there's one thing that dude is just like unbeatable at, it's comic comebacks. Like
He really is.
The way he claps back at some of those comments are fucking hilarious. I love that dude.
I should go back and watch some of his older videos. I used to really like him before the Last Jedi stuff.
Yeah, watch the Destiny videos. They're so fucking good.
I think I'll do that. But yeah, moral of the story: like, just play the game as best as you can, and like, you don't need to like put up this preemptive shield. It just kind of makes you look. This is gonna sound like very misogynistic and very bad, but it kind of just makes you look like a fucking pussy.
I was gonna say it makes him look insecure.
Yeah, that too. That's the much more mature version of mine.
I mean, yeah, it just does. It's like you can tell that he's still salty about like Devil May Cry fans calling him
Yeah,
out on so many
criticizing his
things.
gameplay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
like
will
you
say,
just
like when like with the DMC5 video, I especially was like, no, 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 no. You're talking about how, because in that video he said I tried playing stylishly, and I'm looking at all his footage, and I'm like, I literally don't believe you. There's no fucking way.
yeah,
But
there's just
with this, I'm watching his DMC1 footage, and I'm like, no, no, he's fucking going in, like he's getting some S rank combos and shit. Look at him go, he's doing good.
yeah. He's playing the game well. Holy shit! And I bet it felt really good too.
Imagine that. Imagine
Imagine,
that.
yeah, meeting the developers halfway, playing the game the way that they intended to, and having fun. God,
Yep.
what a fucking foreign concept. Also, did you know you can jump on top of Griffin's back?
I think I knew that and then forgot it and then learned it again and then forgot it again and now you just reminded me again.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Probably doesn't help that I barely play DMC1, so
Yeah, that's fair. I just figured I'd give it the good old whirl since we're back in it.
yeah, yeah.
Casually enjoying the game, and if you hate hearing the opinion of someone who isn't a top level dedicated player, then just go away now. I'm going to be talking about how this game felt to play in my experience, and that's all. I found DMC1 to be a much
It also, and I could be completely misreading this as well. I completely understand, but it just feels like he has so much vitriol for high level players of Devil May Cry as well. Like when he says shit like that,
Yeah.
I can't help but feel the way I can't help but feel like I'm hearing a child just throwing a fit, which is
Um
again, I really mean to say, but that's just how it feels.
Going back to I Hate Everything for a moment, he has a very similar issue where at a certain point with Destiny 2, he stopped doing the raids because he just did not find the game near he pretty much was just doing the base story stuff and a little bit of side stuff here and there. But the raids obviously they take groups, they take concerted effort, they take a lot of grinding to get the gear to where you can do that. And he admits at one point in one of his one of his Destiny 2 videos, he's like, I know some people are gonna be mad, but I can't be bothered to do the raids anymore. Uh, I've started playing this game way more casually than I used to because he had like 60 days of playtime in Destiny 1. Um, and he stopped being such a hardcore dedicated player. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like if someone wants
No, not
to
at all.
if someone wants to review Devil May Cry without fucking S ranking everything, that's cool. Like I don't care.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think if you're going to,
I
it helps too. Like it adds a very
yeah,
real.
I would have a lot more respect and I would put a lot more weight on their opinions of the game if they
Yeah,
did that. But that doesn't mean that everybody has to. Not everybody has to put in that level of effort for um, their videos,
yeah,
especially if you because like I can tell you're a casual fan of the game just by watching you play and by looking at your gameplay, and there is nothing wrong with that.
yeah. And for what it's worth, I've said it before. I have 600 something hours in Devil May Cry 5. I S rank. I no damaged every mission on every difficulty with every character twice. Once in the regular and then again in special edition. And then I put like another 100 hours in on PC. Like I have played the fuck out of Devil May Cry 5. I still got some things wrong in my Devil May Cry 5 video, and that's fine. That happens. You
Yeah,
just
especially when there's like such a breadth of stuff in a game like that.
yeah. Not to mention the video being a billion fucking hours long.
Yeah, which means that obviously you're gonna miss some stuff eventually because
Yep.
some stuff is less important than others. Like how fucking one thing I remember is the fucking fact that Dante has been able to glide in normal Devil Trigger since Devil May Cry 3.
Yep. Yep, it just happens, and that's perfectly
Am
fine.
I gonna am I gonna comment on L's video saying you need to remake the whole video because you got this one thing wrong? Fuck no, absolutely not.
Wait a minute, you forgot that Dante can do this one attack with Coyote A? Ah, well, opinion invalid, nice try.
Okay, but that one actually makes sense because Coyote A is the best.
Coyote A is certainly the best shotgun in Devil May Cry, you're correct.
It's so good. I love Coyote A. What it lacks in practicality and damage, it makes up for it. Yahoo!
It do go Yahoo.
Better experience as a first-time player than DMC5. My main issue with the entirety of DMC5 is that the first playthrough is piss easy.
Oh,
because
shut up.
I love that. I love that.
Fuck up.
This is another thing that we talked about in our fucking video is that like people making video essays and then putting in footage that looks bad. Look at this. Look at this bullshit.
My main issue with the entirety
Not the
of
DMC1
DMC5
gameplay.
is that the first playthrough is
it's piss easy. Intentionally makes himself miss his own attack. Like, what are you telling me by doing this?
Against a really basic enemy? Like, I guarantee if he showed this, him saying this alongside his first time fighting King Cerberus, I fucking dare you. Like, come on.
That is an interesting thing, is that we never really see him in his Devil May Cry video talk about any of the bosses or his experiences with them, which I think is very telling, because those are obviously like the biggest spikes of difficulty in the entire game.
Yeah, I really what's she
Especially
called?
King
What's
Cerberus.
I was gonna say King Cerberus. Is it Malphus? Is that what she's called?
Malphus. She wasn't too terribly hard for me, but I wouldn't say she was easy. And then obviously Urizen 3 is a fucking powerhouse.
Urizen 2 is a power. Urizen's a fucking powerhouse in general. Yeah, Cavalier Angelo. Cavalier Angelo is not like super hard, but he can really punish you if you let him. If Mayo was playing like this, Cavalier Angelo would whoop his ass on normal difficulty. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, I don't. When you make a video essay, generally speaking, you want to have footage that helps your point and also makes you look good. And playing just straight up incompetently doesn't make you look good. I understand that he might be trying to show, like, if I'm being as generous as possible, I think he's trying to show how he made a bad move here and the enemy didn't punish him for it. But these are, dedicated punching bag enemies. They're not going to be like hyper aggressive or anything like that.
This is a Hellkina that's not on They Must Die difficulty. It's like, what do you want me to say?
It's easy. Because
let me see him do this to a behemoth or the fucking in this very same mission. If he I was gonna say in this very same mission, the Proto Angelo fight, like, do that and then show me the footage and then say that sentence again.
Devil Hunter difficulty, which feels like a mindless mash fest. As someone familiar with hack and slash titles, I found DMC5's starting difficulty to be embarrassing.
Again, it's only Hellkina. It's only Hellkina that he's showing.
Yeah.
Which literally exists for you to style on. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, I would if I were you, I would definitely be showing enemies like the Fury, the Behemoths, even the fucking Riots. Those fuckers are actually very intimidating in a group.
Yeah, Riots in a group will fuck you up, even on normal difficulty.
Let me play like a moron and get away with it. And it took me until halfway through my Son of Sparta run to start feeling like the game was actually challenging. I'm sorry that I don't go into these games immediately trying to do the most stylish combo possible.
And that's another issue.
Here we go. The fucking...
So apart from this absolute mistake of a clip, that's another problem that I have with you, is that nobody is expecting you to go in and do like the most stylish, coolest, most epicest stuff ever. People are mad at you because when you go into a game and you aren't predisposed to liking it already, you refuse to meet them halfway. You refuse to engage with the mechanics unless the game literally chokes you out and forces you to do it or else you're just gonna fucking lose your life. Like that's a huge problem that people, or at least that I have with you.
It's so
It's really fucking annoying.
it's so fascinating to me too because having seen his like not all of his obviously, but like plenty of his Doom content, he shows all these things you can do that look really cool. They're not necessary, but like they're really cool ways of, he's shown like different ways to dispatch of the Marauder really fastly, um, and that's great. But it's also not necessary. But he'll praise Doom Eternal for it regardless. But then in Devil May Cry, he just will not give it that concession, and it's really telling.
Yeah, he won't.
And it's not just Devil
He
May
won't.
Cry. Like like he's done it with other games. We're talking about Devil May Cry, so that's what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, Devil May Cry is the most notable culprit of his um obscene stupidity.
I was gonna say bias, but yeah, that too.
That too.
I mean,
Yeah,
he's just
but it's just yet another instance of that dumbass criticism shield, but like 10 times stronger.
yeah.
Nobody's expecting you to be the best player on your first playthrough. People just want you to actually like engage with the mechanics, pay attention, and like
What are you
play
clicking?
play the game. What am I clicking?
Are you playing Devil May Cry attacking with your mouse? Oh my god, that's
No,
exactly what you're doing,
I,
aren't you?
no. I'm like moving. I was like moving my leg up and down, and I think that something was clicking on my person. But I'll
Interesting.
stop it.
Oh, you're good. I was
Um,
starting to hear it and I was like, what the hell is that? But yeah, I don't know. It's weird to go from he's putting up this unnecessary defense of like having to play super duper hardcore extra good or whatever, and now turning it around into you don't even have to do that for these games anyways. And it's like, what the why, what? Who is this argument geared towards? Like, who are you arguing with? It's really confusing. I don't understand. I'm a dum dum. Oh man, I'm on drugs and I have a kidney stone.
yeah, it's basically just one big straw man, and of course nobody can defeat the straw man because they are as strong as you make them.
Yeah, and again, my friend literally beating levels with V using his foot on SOS difficulty. One guy playing V and beating one mission on SOS difficulty.
Not even the whole mission. Not even the whole
I
mission.
was
He
gonna
did not.
say this is a part like there's like there's like a nobody here, and it's like oh okay that could be kind of hard, but then again if you're fighting just one, probably not gonna be that
Yeah,
hard.
I could be misremembering, but I am pretty sure he did not do the whole mission. At least
Yeah,
we weren't sure doing the whole mission. It was just one fight on his first mission. That's supposed to be the easiest. I'm more
yeah.
impressed with your friend than I am like disappointed in DMC.
I
TBH.
I'm more impressed by his friend than I am convinced by his point, whatever that point even is.
I'm looking for a challenge, and a flashing style meter on the side or a ranking system at the end isn't enough for me to feel the game is challenging. Fortunately, this was not the case in DMC 1.
I should also. I don't like equating difficulty to strictly to
Quality.
how much you die. Um, di-
Oh, okay.
Dying in a game is not all there is to difficulty. There's a lot
True.
like I mean, Devil May Cry is a great example of that. If you play poorly and you beat it, like you can do that, quote unquote. Like if you have
But you're
like
not going to be rewarded for it.
yeah, like if you beat a mission in like DMC3 or whatever using like 3 gold orbs, and you don't really do anything stylish. You just keep using Rebellion and Ebony and Ivory, and not even that well, and you barely use your style mechanic. It's like, yeah, you can beat it on easier difficulties, but your ranking is going to be very poor. You're not going to be rewarded for it, and you're probably not going to have that good of a time anyways, which is why you should learn the mechanics in the first place so that you have more fun, and then you have even more fun seeing those awesome rewards. Like, I don't. It
Yeah.
feels like pretty simple stuff.
It's satisfying to play a game that is good and then be rewarded by that game. That's why people like Devil May Cry games so much, is because the reward is not only the game telling you, hey, you're doing awesome, but also you yourself get to look cool doing cool shit.
Yeah. And if you just don't
And
find it
also,
satisfying, and if you just don't find it satisfying, then that's on you, whatever. But don't turn it into a
yeah,
criticism because it's not a criticism. It's just your taste.
yeah, it's perfectly fine if you don't like that. Nobody has a problem with that. But when you turn it into this is a problem with Devil May Cry, it's like, okay, now you're saying something objective about the game's actual quality and design. And naturally speaking, whenever you do that and you don't have a good argument for why that's the case, people are gonna have a problem.
It also doesn't couple well with regularly antagonizing people. It's like, why do you like?
Yeah, yeah,
Again, like who hurt you?
and it also doesn't help that like I don't have a problem normally with people bringing up comparisons when relevant, but every time he sees every time I see God of War or Doom Eternal in one of his videos, no matter how relevant it might be, I always have this knee jerk reaction of, oh my fucking God, please kill me. Because every time that he's ever brought it up in any one of his videos, it's been to say, yeah, this is just like better, even regardless of whether or not he's actually got a good argument for it. Like he's just constantly at like there's the DMC fans are not at war with you. You are at war with them because you are constantly antagonizing them.
I mean, don't you realize that God of War 2018 ruined Resident Evil 8, which had a worse boss fight than that one Ancient Gods boss in Doom Eternal?
Yeah,
It's like, all right, man, whatever.
One.
yeah,
Despite
exactly.
not even having a difficulty selection, within a couple hours, things got rough. The first areas you can just run away and spam pistols, but after a while that starts.
Could you seriously imagine trying to play through Devil May Cry only shooting, like, only running away and shooting with Ebony and Ivory? Holy shit. Like, yeah, wait,
Technically speaking,
like,
yeah, you can do that, but you're gonna have a terrible fucking time.
well, yeah, we did it. We raced through Mission 10 using only Ebony and Ivory. That shit was wild. That was fun. That
That
was,
shit was fun.
but,
But yeah, but that was because in Devil May Cry 5, the Ebony and Ivory actually have really good mechanics.
well, they were really good, and also we were having fun with it, just racing against each other, and also we were good enough at the game to actually progress through fights at a mostly reasonable pace. Um,
Yeah, I can't imagine picking up a game like because this is basically what Mayo does. I can't imagine picking up a game and then the moment that I boot it up, I resign myself to just play as terribly as possible
not even
until the
just
game
not even just
forces
terribly,
me to.
just not even just terribly, but like I
And then
remember
also,
because my first Devil May Cry game was DMC3, right? And I remember at one point I had like this was like my first playthrough. I had low health, and I was like, "Oh fuck, I'm gonna run away and just use Ebony and Ivory and hope for the best." But like looking at the damage, I was like, "This is not a viable strategy. I've got to do something else." And it's just not
Mhm.
fun. Like I could keep doing this, but like why? Why would you do that? Like
Yeah,
why
it's
would you
just
identify the least fun way of playing, intentionally play that way, and then blame the game for not making you not play that way? Like it's so fucking like this is the weirdest approach to playing any game. Not even just Devil May Cry, just any fucking game. Like why would you just sabotage your playthrough like this? I don't understand.
yeah, it's just it's like, oh god, I'm fucking miserable. I'm not having fun playing this game, and it's like, yeah, you're not, because you're just actively avoiding playing the fun way to prove some kind of dumbass point
And
that
then and then when
isn't
people
even real.
and then when people call you out saying, "Well, you could try doing this," and you're like, "I'm not a pro player, guys. Leave me alone." It's like, what the fuck? Like, dude, we're trying to help you have fun. Like, it's wrong.
Like we're trying to help you find that fun that you're so desperate to
The
find.
fun zone, as he calls it. I think that's what he something like that in one of his videos. It's fucking weird.
But yeah,
Join the car.
I can't imagine especially nowadays, I can't fucking imagine booting up Devil May Cry 1 and being like, yeah, I'm just going to use nothing but my handguns for the first like hour of playing. That would be like the most miserable thing ever. And yeah, it would be. It fucking would be. It's almost like I'm not supposed to play like that.
Especially like nowadays, right? Games are $70, and that's just with the base game. That's not counting all DLC or whatever. Like you buy a game for $70. Obviously, this is the HD collection on Steam. It's not $70, but yeah,
Back then it would have been like $60.
well, the HD collection was only priced at 30 when it first came out. Um, but even still, like, let's say you buy a new video, like, I don't know, Sparking Zero or whatever, and
Yeah.
like all you do, like, you don't fly fast, you only slowly approach your enemies, and you only use like the basic melee combos, and you talk about the game not being fun, and then I look at gameplay of other people doing just the most bananas, insane bullshit ever, and they're having a blast, and it's like, whose word do I take on this one? Like, come
Yeah,
on,
like
dude.
who the yeah, like no shit. Do I listen to the person who's intentionally making themselves fucking miserable just so that they can quote unquote prove a point, or do I listen to the people who actually engage with the game and tell me about it?
Or do I listen to the people who also spent $70 on a game and thought to themselves, "I'm going to try and have fun with the game I spent, a fucking tenth of my
$70.
paycheck on." Like, come on.
Yeah, yeah, like no shit, no fucking shit.
Oh, I forgot to ask you. Have you seen the collector's edition of Sparking Zero?
Yeah, I saw a picture of it. That's just fucking wild.
Oh, I'm getting it. I can't wait.
Cause a lot
Have
more
fun.
problems than it was worth, given how hardcore the checkpoint system is. And if I started mindlessly hacking away, I started taking massive damage. Some of these enemies hit insanely hard, so you don't want to get too carried away. You can only keep one health recharge on you.
I don't know. I played it just pressing triangle over and over, and I thought it was easy.
Yeah,
You
I
see
think
how
it's
you
just a
see
skill issue. The game's
You see how easily you can
yeah,
just turn this argument completely around on him? And it's arbitrary
yep.
as shit. It's
I
just
don't know, dude. I took 11 minutes on the first mission, unlocked easy automatic. The game was kind of
the
just
game just
really boring.
the game
The
just
game just gives me the easy mode if I play bad on normal. What the fuck?
yeah, it just gives me the easy mode, and then I play on easy mode, and it's so easy. Like, oh, fucking cringe. God of War
Oh,
also
this
does
fuck.
that, by the way.
Oh yeah, I have absolutely no problem with that. I have no problem with the game being like you play on normal mode to start, and then if you're having trouble with normal mode, then we're gonna give you the easy mode.
Yeah,
Actually,
totally. I
I
think
think that's a lot
I
better
I
than most games.
I much prefer that, honestly, to having an easy mode from the start, because it's the game's way of telling you, like, this is the standard that you kind of want to try and reach, but we'll give you the easy mode so that you can reach that standard at your own pace. And it's like, fuck
It's
yeah,
it's
man.
basically yeah, it's basically the game being encouraging and stuff like that. Because like a lot of people don't like picking easy modes whenever they start games, and I understand why. There's a bit of a stigma against easy modes nowadays.
Yeah.
But in the case of the way Devil May Cry 3 and Devil May Cry 1 do it, it's more like a helping hand of saying, hey, like, it's okay if you play this.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, it's a meme to say the game's shit talking you, but in reality, it's just the game being like, no, no, like, we're gonna help you get
You,
warmed up.
yeah, like, we think you would be better suited for this difficulty, so we're giving you this difficulty, and that's okay.
You know what? I could also turn around this argument and be like, you know what? Devil May Cry 1 like doesn't punish you for just using holy water spam on the bosses. It's really easy. Just, put all your I was about to say blood echoes, for fuck's sake. Put all your rorbs into the holy waters and just spam those. Oh, game
But
easy.
yeah, just fucking get all your berserk Bahilits and just fucking use Devil Stars over and over again.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which are
Epic
only
reference I just
purchasable
made.
at stores or between levels, so I was always careful to not take damage, and the only way to heal outside of that is by picking up health orbs from enemies, which only sometimes drop during combat after you've taken damage. Maintaining a high style meter caused enemies to drop more red orbs, which increases chances of getting a health orb as well. That was great, because if I was close to death, I started focusing on playing really well to get my style meter up, hoping for a chance to heal myself. The style meter is also difficult to maintain, which I
So to tackle that one point he tried to sweep under the rug, he mentioned getting more red orbs, and then he just kind of ignored it because he knew exactly where it was going to end up going. Yeah, you get
Yep.
more red orbs and you get more rewards because you get more red orbs, just like in Devil May Cry 5.
Yep, you play well, and the game rewards you by giving you an extremely important resource that you have to manage.
No,
But
but
no,
because he got deluxe
okay,
edition, he
no,
has
no,
100,000 red
no.
orbs and he gets everything. He's fine.
Yeah, even though there's a like very steep inflation to the fucking pricing in the shops.
Yeah,
But
I'll never get
okay.
over that because I'm just like actually having played the game with the deluxe edition. I'm like 100,000. It's not even going to get you all of Nero's things, let alone fucking Dante and V or Virgil if you got special edition. Like, no, that's dumb.
Yep. And
Like
like,
a
yeah, honestly, I would say the style meter in this game is a bit too punishing. But yeah, it works the same way that it does in every other game.
I like DMC1 style meter. I just don't think.
I think
I
one
think
second.
I think it's too steep for how limited DMC1's gameplay is. Like if Devil May
Yeah,
Cry 5 had this style meter, it would be I think it'd be super balanced like really well. And I think if DMC1 had DMC5's easier style meter, that would be better because again, DMC1 has a much more limited move set for you to work with.
yeah. A friend of mine has made the comparison that DMC One is more like a Mega Man game than an actual Devil May Cry game, which is cool for Mega Man, but obviously not that cool for Devil May Cry.
That is an interesting comparison.
Yeah, it's because of the fact that the bosses and enemies more so have like specific strategies that the game wants you to use against them. There is some freedom in how you tackle them, but for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
those strategies are going to be what you want to use, just like in Mega Man.
True.
lot. You gotta work for it. It benefits from attack variety and consistency. It goes away very quickly, so you always need to be making contact with enemies, incentivizing aggression, as well as using aerial firearms or gun juggles in combo, which is something I embarrassingly did not figure out on my own.
I will say, one thing I just thought about with DMC1 style meter, I don't like the fact that a single hit completely takes away your style
Yeah,
meter. Um,
it's
Not because like too hard or whatever, but like I think something that can be, I think it can be really motivating when the game's like in Devil May Cry 3 through 5, where you take a hit and you're knocked down to like a C rank, but you're still like, oh, okay, but I can bring this back. Like I can
yeah,
turn things around for myself, and that's really motivating
it's
rather than
too
like, oh, I've got to start from the very fucking beginning and grind through D rank and C rank. You know what I mean?
yeah. There's nothing wrong with being punished. It's just that the punishment is too harsh, which is sort of like it sort of is my like that's like my huge like biggest problem with the style meter in DMC One is that like it's fine, but it is too punishing. Like for example, like you've got just about 1 second to make contact with an enemy after your last attack.
Yeah, it goes away real
Otherwise,
fast.
yeah. Otherwise, the entire style meter it doesn't even derank you. You just lose your entire rank, and that's really fucking absurd for a game with such a limited move set. There are considerations to it, like for example, Ifrit's dive kick has just enough time to get to an enemy before your style rank decreases,
Hmm.
but that's like, and of course there's Stinger, but Stinger will cause the enemy to then move away from you,
Well,
which
and
is why
there's also Ebony and Ivory, but again, you know, once you, because like Dante's,
they actually don't keep up your style meter.
they don't.
No, they'll keep it
Hmm.
up for like a second as well, but
Well,
that's it.
yeah, that's what I was. Okay, so yeah, my point was Dante's movement is just nowhere near advanced enough to have such a limited window of time, I think. Um, because you're pretty much going to either end up doing one of two things. You're going to try and stinger an enemy into a wall so that you can start doing a combo on them again, or you're just going to jump towards them and do like a helm breaker or something like that.
Pretty much, yeah.
And it gets repetitive, I think, when there's like only two ways of properly maintaining your style meter. When you have to, you know, like you kill an enemy and then you have to go to the other enemy, but like, oh fuck, they're like, you know, a few meters away, so you have like two things you can do. Otherwise your style meter just completely goes away and it's like, oh well, okay.
Yeah, I very much
Was
agree.
very, very happy that the style meter actually felt important to at least somewhat engage with, due to the healing factor and the red orb increase to buy stuff at the shop. Your starting options are limited and upgrades are fairly expensive.
Okay. However, 100%, I agree with what you're saying, but everything that you have said 100% also applies to Devil May Cry 5,
Yeah.
which I know he's very intentionally not mentioning it because if he does, people are gonna do a no on him, but I know what you're doing. You can't fool me. I know 100% for a fact you're not mentioning it because you know how right people are,
I was
and
gonna
you just
say
don't want to admit it.
he's like going ultra instinct to try and weave the very obvious counter argument, and his response would just be like, well, in DMC5 it's just not as good because you get 100,000 orbs or whatever. It's like, shut up. Like we debunked that years ago, so I don't want to hear it.
especially if you're buying healing potions.
Oh yeah, what are your thoughts on it's gonna sound weird to say Devil May Cry 1's economy,
Uh,
or
I would.
or maybe just better like upgrade progression rate, I'll say.
Well, I can actually speak on that with very recent experience since I'm currently playing the game.
True.
It's okay. I think it's perhaps a bit too stingy with its red orbs, especially considering, like, as we've stated already, like how like stingy or how like what am I looking for? With how limited Dante's moveset is, unlocking moves as quickly as possible is obviously like a very huge objective for the player. And I
Hmm.
would say that like it's okay for the most part, but I think it could be just a little bit more forgiving and just a little bit more generous.
Yeah, for me, I just it feels kind of glacial almost. You'll get like if you're playing well, you'll reach a point where you're getting like one ability per mission if it's like an extensive mission. But like if you want to unlock everything, like bare minimum, if you're playing well, it takes like 3 playthroughs, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Um, Somewhere like 2 or 3 playthroughs, which might not seem that bad, but it's like I don't know. I feel like especially on a first playthrough, when you go through unlocking things so slowly and having to, because again the moveset's very limited. When you're not unlocking things at a brisk pace, you're getting into a major sense of repetition, and it's just not that fun.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. I've been playing fairly well for this playthrough that I started, and I would say that I'm unlocking things at a fairly decent pace. So there's not too much repetition. But yeah, if I was somebody who wasn't as good at the game, I
Hmm.
know for a fact I would probably be fucking losing my damn mind at the moment.
And for what it's worth, in Devil May Cry 1, using items is actually like a legitimate strategy. So if you want to start using those also,
Yeah,
it's
you're
just
gonna have to.
it's
Yeah,
just
you're
way
gonna
too
have to
much
basically
work.
spend more.
Yeah. And I don't
Which
know, like there's something really weird to me about a game that's so short having such a slow rate of unlock.
it is very weird. It is very weird.
Cause,
Um,
cause like Devil May Cry 5, you unlock things pretty quickly as long as you're playing well, but there's a lot to unlock, and the game's decently long. Um, like
yeah,
some missions are like 15 to 20 minutes on like a first playthrough, so yeah.
Hideki Kamiya was definitely hoping that people would Hideki Kamiya was definitely hoping that people would play like well and everything like that, and I get that, but it's one of those situations where it's just too harsh. It's just too harsh.
Yeah, I think I remember that being a thing in at least Bayonetta 1, where it's just like it feels like it takes forever to I don't know,
Yeah,
like
Bayonetta one. I 100% agree there. Bayonetta one, like
things are
God,
expensive.
getting anything in Bayonetta one feels fucking miserable because the game like the economy is even worse than Devil May Cry one. Weirdly enough, where like you have so many options and it's very free and everything like that. But then like
Well, there's also like there's
actually
with Bayonetta, like there's so many like cosmetics. You buy your health and your magic upgrades, so it's just there's so much, and you're basically unlocking things at the same rate. So it's like, oh man, you really gotta. It's kind of a time sink to really unlock everything.
yeah.
Bayonetta 3 and 2, I remember being pretty good for the most part about, especially Bayonetta 3, because Bayonetta 3 you get like a new weapon or new form or something in like every mission. So there
Nice.
you always feel like there's just more right around the corner, which is pretty nice.
Yeah,
Or
I would
yellow
say they definitely improved on that aspect in later games.
Yeah, for sure.
Orbs to extend your continues. I always tried to keep a healing potion on me, and I used a good number of yellow orbs, and actually felt pressure to buy more from time to time, so I wouldn't have to restart the entire mission. Unlike DMC 5, and possibly other sequels, yellow orbs don't resurrect you in the middle of a fight. They act as continues from your last checkpoint, which is a system I liked more. You're forced to use yellow orbs to go on, or
Ooh, okay. This raises an interesting question. Lucy, are you a yellow orb or a gorb enjoyer?
I'm very much a Gorb enjoyer, but I understand why people enjoy Yorbs because, like, I understand some people for them they're just like, yeah, I enjoy the more punishing aspect. I definitely would have preferred if the series stayed with Devil May Cry 3's method, actually, where they gave you a choice between yellow orbs and gold orbs.
Yeah, I agree. I completely understand why anyone would prefer either. Um, Me personally, I don't like when it feels like a game's wasting my time. And in fairness to Devil May Cry 1, the missions are really quick, for the most part. But, um, like, a system that's just more convenient and time saving, I'm just gonna want to go with it by default because to
Yeah,
me, to
no,
me,
I understand that completely.
yeah, to me, being punished, like dying is enough. Like if you literally restarted me like a second later in the same fight, but with all the enemies reset and everything, that's completely fine for me. Because the punishment was having to restart the fight.
Yeah.
Um,
I would say they both have their values. They both have their places, which is why, again, I would prefer if Capcom, like, I would prefer if Itsuno and crew give us the choice rather than just deciding for us.
yeah, and for what it's worth, Devil May Cry 3 HD. There's a trophy for beating the game with gold orbs, and there's a trophy for beating the game with yellow. Or well, I think there's only a trophy for beating it with yellow orbs. Either way, there's like actually kind of an incentive there to try out both and see what you like.
Yeah,
So, I like that. I think that's a good
yeah,
option to have.
yeah. They both have their merits. They're both good in different ways.
Yeah,
I do prefer the yellow. I prefer the gold orbs because, despite the fact that they're like good in theory, they themselves also have they also incur like a big punishment as well. Like they're not strictly a benefit because if you use a gold orb in any of the later Devil May Cry games, it incurs a huge penalty. So you
yeah,
really, really have to play well if you're wanting to use a gold orb.
yeah, pretty much.
or you have to exit and reload from the last save. I actually ran out of yellow orbs a couple times and got sent back to my last save, unaware that I wouldn't just restart the mission. If you haven't saved in a while, you can lose a significant amount of progress, like
Why
I
the
did.
fuck are you not
So
saving
yeah,
after every
save your
mission?
games for
Yeah, that's not even
Why is
me.
that not? Yeah, like why is that not your default port of call in terms of your actions?
Yeah, and that's not even me shit talking Mayo. I'm just like, dude, why aren't you saving after every mission, bro?
Yeah, like that's insane to me.
Like I do that in gold orb mode. What do you mean? What do you mean?
Yeah, absolutely. What the fuck?
every mission. I didn't care too much about the end of level rankings since I think it's based on time and if you used items, but occasionally I
And
would get an
orbs.
alright level ranking and an orb bonus, and that was really nice.
I don't even think it's based off items, if I remember correctly. In Devil May Cry
Items.
1.
I don't remember. I think they influence your rank. Actually, yeah, I think they
I'm
influence your rank.
I'm pretty sure it's only time. Because I remember one time. I think I tested this one time. I could be misremembering. It's been a while, but if I remember correctly, the one mission that's literally just the underwater first person where you like go through the ship and go out the other end. Um, I did that. I like swam to the middle of the ship, used the holy water to kill every enemy, and then just swam right to the end, and I beat it in like 17 seconds or some shit, and I got an S rank. Um, maybe I just beat it so fast that using the item didn't matter. I don't know, but yeah,
Interesting.
I might be misremembering. I will asterisk great assault and all that, but I'm pretty sure it's only time. So I'm inclined to agree. I don't really care for the end of mission ranks and Don't Make Cry 1 because they don't hinge on how well you play. They hinge on beating it
Yeah.
fast.
I think the only big penalty is like I think maybe I don't know. Well, actually, I don't know. I was going to say maybe gold orbs have an influence, but I have absolutely zero idea.
But it doesn't have gold orbs, it only has yellow orbs.
Sorry, yellow. My bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to say. But I more or less agree with them. I don't care about the. I like the red orb bonus. That's nice, but
Yeah.
the actual rank itself, I'm not too hung up on.
Funny story, when I played DMC5, it was actually gifted to me on Steam, and they sent me the deluxe edition, which comes bundled
Oh
with
God, not this
100,000
again.
red orbs to spend on upgrades. I had no idea. As someone new to the franchise, I didn't know this was a thing. I'm not going to start doing the math myself to try to recreate the authentic experience, so for me, the entire system was totally sabotaged. I was able to unlock a bunch of stuff right away, and I never got to feel the pressure to actually generate more orbs myself through good gameplay.
Okay, so of course we have to ask the all too important question: is that on Mayo or is that on the developers?
Uh, I wouldn't put it on either of them because, like, the developers don't have to account for the game being gifted to someone. Like, if you're gifted something that's.
Yeah, I also don't really. It also bugs me this word that he keeps using, fucking sabotaged. Like your first playthrough was not sabotaged by anybody but yourself. You intentionally
Yeah.
decided to play the game in the most boring, uninteresting, snooze fest way possible, and then you were punished by having an extremely boring experience. That's not the developer's fault.
I also. Okay, so I've only just thought of this. I can't believe I only just thought of this. It's really weird to me for this dude to be like, oh yeah, in my first playthrough, it was sabotage because I got to unlock so much stuff right out the gate. But also, I can beat the game by only doing like 2 attacks. I don't need to use all those moves. What? So, which is it?
Yeah, you fucking dumbass. It's obviously
Like
your fault.
he's trying to have his cake and eat it too. Like, oh yeah, I unlocked everything, so the game was much easier. But I also didn't use any of the things I unlocked because the game's so easy. Like, what the fuck? What's the argument here? I don't know. Whatever, man. Whatever, man. You do you.
I have no idea. It's very weird to me.
Anyways, we've debunked this argument like a million times. It's fucking stupid.
True, true, true,
Even
true.
if I were to give it granted to him, I'm like 100,000 red orbs. Is not, it's either gonna unlock a bunch of shit for Nero, or just one character if you don't get anything for Nero and then decide to save up for a beard. I don't know. It's either gonna get you a bunch of shit for one character, or it's gonna get you a couple nice things that'll help out. Starting out with all three. Like that's it. Or four if
Yep.
you get special edition, then you're even more
It's
divided
it's
up.
it's 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 definitely not going to play the whole fucking game for you.
Like if I remember correct, because I got the deluxe edition, because I got like the collector's edition or whatever of the game, and I got the special edition which came out on PS5. I think what did I get? I got Air Hike, which is already what 20,000, so there's a fifth of those orbs right there.
And I
Um,
think you got enemy step, which is another 50,000.
I got enemy step. Enemy step is 10 or 15. I think it goes up to 15, something like that.
Uh,
It's still a bunch. What else did I get? I got the aerial rave. I got. I think I got like get more orbs just because, haha, meme. Like I didn't get that many things, and you can be like, oh well, you got all the expensive stuff. Like my guy, all I got was a fucking double jump and get more orbs. Like, it's not like I broke the game with two fucking techniques or some shit.
yeah. Um, I didn't have the deluxe edition when I first started playing the game, so I didn't have the bonus. And I will admit, like, yeah, the progression was much slower, but I don't think that having the deluxe edition would have made the game like obscenely easy either.
No
Like you still have to unlock the stuff and test the stuff and do the stuff with the stuff. Like it just
stuff.
I just this argument is just really baffling to me. Like I
This argument
don't
shows
really
a this argument shows a severe lack of understanding in the actual red orb system, I think.
Yeah. Like I know that people would make the argument, and I don't necessarily disagree that there shouldn't have been a red orb bonus for people who got the deluxe edition. I don't necessarily disagree, but I also don't think that the bonus they chose completely annihilates the difficulty curve or anything like that, because it fucking
Yeah.
doesn't.
If it was like 10 million red orbs, then I'd be like, all right, what the
Or even
fuck are we
or even
doing?
just or even just 500,000 or 1 million, then it would be like, yeah, this is fucking kooky crazy bullshit. What are you fucking doing,
Yeah.
man?
Like, if you can get EX provocation on mission 1, then I'd be like, then I would be like, all right, what the fuck? But no. Like, and you know the funniest part? I guarantee there is not a single character in Devil May Cry 5 that Mayo has every ability unlocked for. If only because of EX provocation, but even still, I imagine there are a couple of others.
Yeah, even barring EX provocation, I don't think, especially for like V, he definitely does not have it for V.
Definitely not for V. Maybe for Dante. No, Dante has a lot of abilities. I don't even think he would for him.
Probably not if I had to take a guess. But
Yeah.
I mean, hey, it's his copy of the
It
game.
had
He
a
can
really
technically do whatever he wants with it. Whatever. Who cares? Not me. Not him, for sure.
Definitely not him.
It had a really negative effect on my impressions of that game for a while. Luckily, none of that is happening in DMC 1. Red orbs quickly felt like an important resource to me, at least more than not feeling important at all. But I don't want to only be playing well for the extra orbs. I want to be playing well because it helps me survive the moment to moment gameplay. Finding how to survive means finding the fun, and then when I've found the fun, maybe I'll start caring about your ranking systems. I don't go in trying to get the best rank. I gotta find the fun first, and then maybe I can use those orbs on unlocking cool abilities instead of having to replenish health and continues.
So again, it's just
So yeah,
this
I
this
think
constant
I'm starting to think. Sorry, go ahead.
this constant equating challenge with fun is just it's driving me crazy. And I say that as someone who loves a
It's
challenging
yeah,
game.
me too.
Like I love challenging games, but holy shit, they're not the only fun game. Challenge is not the only way to engage players. It is not the only way to convince people to try and explore the mechanic. Like it's just not. It's fucking not. I've some of my favorite games
Yeah.
are games that are fucking baby easy. Like Mario is not a
Oh
hard
yeah,
game.
absolutely.
Mario is not a hard game at all. Like you can be like, oh well, you know
I
certain
I,
levels, but like
I also
real quick, just general Mario is pretty fucking easy. But like, have you seen the shit that people come up with and like speed running those games? Like it's insane.
I'm also just starting to think that character action games just aren't for fucking Mayo, because everything about them just seems to fly in the face of what Mayo wants.
Yeah.
Like when I look at character action games, I don't see what Mayo wants, because in most, like in a lot of character action games, especially, like the entire point is like, oh yeah, like you're trying to be like cool in a lot of them, or like they're not supposed to, like a lot of them aren't promoting, oh yeah, you've got to fight constantly for survival.
Yeah, a
Um,
lot of them are geared towards your first playthrough, giving you a power trip. That way, you feel encouraged to try out the higher difficulties, get all the different rewards, and and in the end, feel like a badass. Like that's the
yep,
gist.
that's most character action games. Not all of them, granted,
Yeah,
but
no,
that's a
definitely not.
lot. And so, yeah, I think character action games just aren't for you, because Mayo seems to put brutal difficulty above all else, and I think that that drastically colors his opinion on a lot of games that never
I mean,
intended to be.
you say that, but his favorite games are also God of War and Doom Eternal, which
Yeah, but those games are apparently really fucking hard.
no, they're really not. And
They're not. I know. I
I've
know. I always
played
know Doom Eternal, but for fuck's sake.
like Doom Eternal, yeah, if you crank it up to the absolute hardest difficulty right out the gate when you have like no upgrades, yeah, that's pretty fucking hard. I'll give you that. God of War, the classic God of War, the what was it called? It was like the Trials of Olympus or whatever. It was like 20 challenge fights you had to do that were like increasingly harder and harder. That's hard, yeah, but I can boot up God God of War 1 and 2 having not played them in years, and I guarantee I will breeze through the game with like maybe a couple of deaths, 90% of which would just come from falling off a cliff because the platforming is awkward.
I guarantee I could boot up God of War right now, having never completed a single fucking game, and I guarantee that I would actually do pretty well in them. I'd be willing to bet that.
Same with Doom Eternal. I again, like he talks about challenge, but Doom Eternal is not a challenging game. I'm sorry, unless you play on. If you play on the higher difficulties, yeah, sure.
Or if you play with a controller.
That's what I play with.
Fair. I know that my experience with the controller was not the best. It was pretty wonky at times.
I don't remember.
But then again, this is also from somebody who doesn't play shooters. And then again, I'm also somebody who doesn't play shooters and thought that Doom Eternal was pretty fucking easy for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, like it's the same as when we talked about his Marauder video. Like I haven't played Doom Eternal since I got the platinum, which was like in 2020. So yeah. I never even played. I still haven't played Ancient Gods. I own Ancient Gods because I pre-ordered the whatever edition of the game and got the season pass with it. And I just once I got the platinum, I was just so burned out. Like I was like, not
I
even
can't say
like
I
it was
blame you.
like it
Eternal was-
literally it literally mentally exhausted me. I was just like, this game is like there's so much sensory neuron triggering happening at once. Like,
and also just the fact that like the game itself is like pretty fucking like it's pretty fucking mind numbing in a lot of parts. It's not the best.
it is a very loud game, and I don't mean that auditorily. I mean like it just like you look at it and you're like, it's a lot.
Uh,
So yeah, that's what I think.
continue the stupid poopy video.
So your tools for dealing with enemies in DMC1 are far more limited than they are in later hack and slash titles.
Yes, they
But
are.
hey, it's the first game of its kind, it's okay.
Yeah.
One attack button, basic 3/ combo, air launcher, diving attack, and a couple of delayed button combos. You can unlock the Stinger to fly into an enemy with a heavy attack, which is great for closing the space to keep your style meter from expiring.
Until they go flying back, and then that completely goes away.
Yeah, thus further promoting the idea that Dante's movement is way too limited in a game like this to be that harsh. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
sorry, what was that? My fucking voice. Who was that?
I remember when I first played DMC3, and I was like, I need the Stinger because it's a gap closer, and then I would use it, and I'd be like, but they're flying away. All right, time to get creative and come up with other stuff. All right, I'll use Stinger when I've got them like backed against a wall or something. I'll use Trickster every now and then to close the gap, or you can Sword Master with Rebellion. You can throw the sword at them and then close the distance while it does damage and keep. There's so much, man. DMC3 slaps. I fucking love that game.
DMC3 do be one of the best games of all time.
DMC3 is
Despite its faults.
DMC3 is bussin'. That game is fucking good.
Ooh, this shit busted on cash.
All right, well, it's been
The
fun.
attack variety is
No, don't fucking play the video. It's been fun. We're done.
We're done. No more video.
No more.
Fuck off.
Blame Lucy. Caesar's dead again.
Caesar's no, not for the fourth time.
alright, but I was hoping for air juggles as seen in other games and later DMC titles.
Nope, not
Once
this
I was
one.
in the air, all I could do was dive back down with the heavy slash.
Or jump cancel.
Now, maybe there's some cool animation cancel trick to do multiple hits in the air. I don't know that stuff. I was just sad I couldn't swing the sword a few.
Okay, so I just want to.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with that criticism.
I find it. I find it really strange to be like, hey, I want to be able to do this. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but I don't want to do that. And it's like,
brother.
what? I want to drive. I want to drive the car, but I really hate you. I really don't feel like using a gas pedal and a steering wheel, so I'm just not gonna do it. It's like
I want to drive my car, but I think I want to take my starter out before I do. That seems like a good solution.
Like I'm not even mad. It's just like I don't know what to make of that. That's so weird. Like I want to do this. I know there's probably a way, but I don't want to do it, so I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, and it turns
Why'd
out there
you-
actually is a way. It's very simple. You simply press the jump button while you're near an enemy.
I was gonna say, and like there's other weapons than Is it Alistair? Alistair and
Not really. There's only Alistair and Ifrit. There is
well, I was
Sparta,
gonna
but
say
it doesn't
Ifrit,
have a
Ifrit
credit.
and Devil Sword Sparta.
Yeah, but Devil Sword Sparta is basically just an Alistair clone.
Yeah, or uh, uh, I almost said Soul Edge, fucking Soul Calibur.
Force Edge.
Force Edge, yeah, Force the Edge.
Yes. Um,
But yeah, no, I mean you can also use it for it. You can use your guns, of course. I love jump canceling with Coyote A. It's fucking wacky in all of
yeah,
his games.
it's fucking yeah, it's pretty fucking lovely. I love jump cancel. There's also slash canceling, which is not very intensive to do, although it's most likely unintentional. So of course I wouldn't blame you for not really wanting to do it.
Oh man, uh, Devil May Cry 5. Like one of my favorite things to do with behemoths was just to fucking jump cancel and spam Coyote A and just fuck them up.
Oh yeah, that's
So
fucking
awesome.
amazing.
Anywho,
few times and stay airborne, or do one of those cool God of War spinning attacks. However, I did frequently go for air launchers because that was my way of getting in as much damage as I could without getting hit on the ground. I'd do 2 heavy slashes, delay, go into the multi-stab, cancel into air launcher without a jump, juggle a bit in the air, and then launch again with
cool story, bro. I didn't even have to ask. That's my favorite part. Um, no,
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't actually have anything. It's just he's just talking about a combo he liked. I'm like, all right, cool.
yeah. He engaged with the game, and I'm very happy for him that he finally did it.
Yeah, it's nice
Turns
to
out
hear.
mayonnaise can actually engage with the video game. Could have fooled me about 1,000 times.
Yep.
In fact, you did fool me about 1,000 times.
And you know what? If he did like really try to engage, not just with this, but like just with video game in general, if he did genuinely try, like with Devil May Cry 5, and he just couldn't get into it for whatever reason, it just wasn't for him. You know what?
Yeah,
Hey man,
that's perfectly fine.
ride the fuck on. It's totally cool.
It's
Um,
it's
I'm
it's it's
coming
like
up. I'm coming up on one of my next in my next backlog part. Is the first game from my backlog that I chose to opt out of. Like I didn't complete it because it's like a 45-hour game. I got 11 hours in, and I was like, this game, I don't find it fun. I think it's annoying. I think it sucks. I was poopy. It was poopy butt fart. I don't like it, and that's fine. It's cool, man.
yeah. It's like I was saying how like I just don't think character action games are for Mayo
Yeah,
because
I
like
think
everything about
certain
them he just seems to dislike.
I think certain hack and slashes are definitely for him, like God of War, but
Yeah, definitely not Devil May Cry or Bayonetta or anything like that because he just like I said he just doesn't seem to like anything about any of these games for the most part.
yeah,
Obviously, there's stuff here and there, but like it's just really just seems like it's not for you, and that's perfectly fine. But then maybe you should stop playing them and stop reviewing them. You don't have to listen to everything your audience does. Like because we're doing this particular video because our audience has wanted to see us do more C's and do more like specifically on Mayo and stuff like that. But we also
hmm
want
with
to
Devil
do
May Cry
this.
also.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, like I've had people tell me like, "Oh, hey, your New Vegas stuff was really good. I'd really love to see you talk about Skyrim." And I have null interest in talking about making a video on Skyrim.
I would rather die to be honest than
I
make a video at Skyrim.
I don't even like particularly dislike Skyrim. I have zero interest in doing it, and I'm not gonna make a video saying everyone told me to play it. I'm just not.
Yeah,
Even if I had whatever 100,000 subscribers and 50,000 of them were telling me, "Yo, let's see Elder Scrolls," I would just tell them like, "I'm sorry, I'm not fucking doing it. I don't care about Elder Scrolls." Like I might in my backlog throw in Skyrim as a little bonus game and just give some brief thoughts at best, but I'm not gonna review. Sorry to disappoint anyone. I'm not gonna review Skyrim. It's just not gonna fucking happen.
it's definitely not the most pressing game that one should be focusing on. It's very
Yeah.
comfortably mid.
Yeah, it's pretty mid. I liked I played it on the PS3 like back when it came out and I was like this is a cool game and then I just never touched it again cuz my one time it was fine. It was cool.
Yep,
That's all I needed.
I have absolutely zero interest in ever playing it again.
I think I think if the whatever anniversary PS5 version with like all the DLC and stuff. I think if it's like free on PS Plus at some point, I might revisit it. Just because free. Why not?
Yeah.
But I like I don't have any interest in like buying it on PC, even if it's on sale, and like going through and modding it and doing all this cool stuff. Which is,
Yeah.
I'm glad that stuff's there. It's great. I don't care. I'm not interested.
Yeah. I agree.
But the jump
I
follow
agree.
up
Yep.
and come crashing down. This was a fun combo to figure out and practice. It helped me focus a lot of damage on someone, whereas a standard 3-hit combo would just push them away. Maybe this is blasphemy, but I didn't use the other fighting stance, in for it, or whatever it's called. I'm sorry, I just like the sword. I didn't find the fists or kicks to be that fun, and the dive bomb attack was weird to aim with the camera being how it is.
You know what? Part of I'm conflict. I'm conflicted. So, were anyone else to tell me this, were like my buddy, were he to come up to me and be like, "Hey, I finally played Devil May Cry," I'd be like, "Oh, what you think?" He was like, "Oh yeah, blah blah blah." I didn't care for this weapon though, so I didn't bother using it. I'd be like, "Oh, okay, that's fine, whatever, cool." But there's also this. It's not even an issue. It's not even a notorious issue anymore. It's a fucking running gag of under the Mayo not wanting to engage with the fucking mechanic of the video game that he's supposed to be playing and reviewing on his YouTube channel for money. So I'm inclined to
Yeah,
not spare him on this one.
yeah, I 100% would believe if in this case he just got lazy and like didn't feel like doing like his due diligence of like playing with it. Like, and like don't get me wrong, like Alistair absolutely feels like very buttery smooth,
Oh
or at
yeah.
least as buttery smooth as it could back in fucking 2001 Vision. Um, it feels very good even to this day, but at the same time, like as a reviewer, I 100% expect you to play with all of the weapons in the game. Like I get if it's not for you, but like you just didn't even like do anything with it. You were just like, "Nah, I'm gooch." I going back to earlier about the whole upgrades thing, I would not be surprised if he didn't even put like a single upgrade into it. And the dive kick is not hard to aim, by the way. It works the same as anything else. You
You
lock
just
on, press the
walk
button,
on,
and
yeah.
boom.
And speaking from my own experience, making my Devil May Cry 5 video, I was way more motivated because I was like, I want to see everything. And I would do things I didn't think of. I would try weapons I didn't normally use. That I used like Kalina Ann on its own without Kalina Ann 2, and it was actually interesting. It was kind of cool to do.
Yeah,
Real
and
quick,
like another,
I'm gonna go take my pain pills.
okay.
So I'll be right back.
And another reason why this is also about blasphemy is because of the fact that like I completely understand not jiving with the Ifrit gloves. They're very slow and they might seem very awkward at first. Um, but they absolutely earn their place on the weapon roster. Like they're very useful weapons, and in terms of especially fighting Nightmare, for example, the fucking Ifrit gloves are basically invaluable when fighting Nightmare because of the way that Nightmare works and stuff like that. Like how his whole gimmick is that he has cores, and the health of the cores will determine his aggression. So yeah, it just kind of seems like another instance of Mayo being lazy, and that is it really sucks. I feel it sucks because I feel like Mayo would actually be like a really decent reviewer if he would just actually put in the effort and would actually like be consistent. And like you don't have to be like entirely consistent, but I feel like if he had even the slightest bit of relative consistency, he would be such a good fucking reviewer because like he's personable enough that enough people like him and everything like that, and he's not like extremely annoying. I've complained about him in the past, specifically with his monotone voice and how he barely inflects and never seems like he's enjoying what he's doing, but that's not necessarily his fault. Could just be the way that he speaks and everything like that. So, like, I feel like if he just put in more effort, he would be such a good reviewer. Because like I want to believe that he enjoys this. I want to believe that he's doing this because he actually has a passion for it and actually has a passion for video games and talking about them in general. But he just seems he's just never consistent, and he's always taking like the most lazy route possible.
It doesn't
And
help that he
almost
sounds bored in like 90% of his videos.
yeah,
Like, even if you agree with the guy on like every point, it confuses me when someone with the charisma of zero can attract so many people. Um, and that sounds like mean, but no, he has a very dry way of speaking. There's nothing wrong with that. I just don't
yeah.
I don't see
He's
even
someone who
even
stepped
putting
into the
aside his bajillions of fallacies. I don't understand. And if he wasn't such a dick to me specifically, I would still, like I said in my earlier videos, I'd be like, I could see him being a totally chill guy, but then I tried talking to him and he was a fucking asshole. So I can't really say that
yeah,
anymore either.
yeah. Moral of the story: just fucking just put in the effort if you're gonna make something like this.
Get
It doesn't
good.
have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be the best thing in the world. But I feel like your videos would be so much better if you just put in that effort and you just fucking don't.
Just fucking get good. Oh, he said
And
get
like
good about his Devil May Cry. No, I meant get good at making videos.
get good at making those doughs. You see what I did there? Haha. It was a bad joke, but we're not going to talk about it.
I'm gonna let that awkward silence sit.
No,
Long.
no.
I only used it when I did the full charge sword spin. Then I'd switch stances and do a little damage while they were stunned.
Oh, nice
That was
combo.
cool, but I prefer
Yes.
the sword, and I like always having access to the air raid devil trigger attack. As the game went
Perfectly
on, I
valid.
felt good about playing stylishly and effectively, because the enemy encounters pushed me there. Some of the enemies that start popping up in the middle are absolute beasts, with a bunch of HP. If I didn't focus on them with combos, I was greatly extending the fight, which means greatly increasing the risk of death. There's a pretty
Yep.
good amount of enemies in the game. The creatures known as blades have a defense that has to be worn down before you can combo them. The fetishes go into a protective stance after taking 2 hits and then blast you with fire. And it was fun to eventually learn to react to this stance and then dodge.
I agree with all of this. Yes.
Yeah. Only way that I think the game like severely missteps in terms of enemy design is that I like the plasmas and I definitely like the idea of them. Some of the animations are just way too fast.
Yeah, it feels like they could have done a little bit more fine tuning with certain animations. But
Yeah, I think that's mostly just a case of like they imported Dante's animations onto these models and just didn't like account for how fast they were.
yeah. But yeah,
But
no,
other than that,
I like DMC1's enemy set. It's pretty good.
yep, I have nothing wrong with what's being said here.
Yep.
Shadows seem to be only vulnerable to projectiles until they open up their core and you go in for big melee damage until they recover.
So I'm mixed on the shadows.
They're in the exact same tier as the Furies with me, where they are a really cool enemy, but they do not mesh with the game's mechanics, specifically the style mechanic, like at all.
and you know, call me a fucking casual or whatever. I don't give a shit. I don't like the fact that they can attack you so consistently while they're in their vulnerable position because in my head the
That as
idea
well.
in my head the idea is they are fucking ferocious, but when you finally wear them down you get to go in for your combos, but no, they can still hit you with the, you know, little spike pillars and shit, and it's like,
Yeah,
you're
they're able to
throwing off
they're
my
able to
groove.
punish what's yeah they're able to punish what is supposed to be your punish period.
Yeah, it feels like a fucking Elden Ring boss. No, it's not that bad, but it can be annoying.
There are several enemies, in fact, that push you to use your guns. The floating skulls go down in a single shotgun blast. I mostly just spammed shotgun on the scissor ladies until they died, and I definitely shotgunned these annoying giant flies. I used the grenade launcher sometimes for splash damage, and to get long-range attacks on boss fights when I was keeping my distance. There was a good variety to the combat in DMC1. It really was the opposite of my first playthrough of DMC5. But I love that DMC 1 just starts challenging. It held me accountable and got me to play smart. I didn't have to beat the game to unlock that experience. Is it too hard for some people? I'm sure it is, and I would support the inclusion of a lower difficulty for them. But thank
There
God this
is.
isn't the brain dead experience that DMC 5 was the first time. Eventually, I got the Devil Trigger ability, which builds up during combat. Activate it and you get a damage boost. Use your red orbs to unlock awesome abilities like flying in the air and shooting lightning at everyone, which I ended up using all the time, and I felt like a god every time. You build Devil Trigger
Same.
pretty naturally
It is-
just
it is
by
pretty
fighting,
cool.
so I never felt the need to invest in the refill potions until the end of the game, but we'll get there. It was quite nice to have the opposite experience to DMC5, where I felt like I was
He just has to keep going after DMC5, and I'm just gonna keep saying
Yeah.
your arguments are defunct, my dude. Like, you gotta. The more you say it, the worse it sounds.
Absolutely. Because everybody has already said, like, yeah, everything has firmly been debunked in terms of your Devil May Cry 5 arguments.
And
It's
not even just by us, by the way. Plenty of other people have done it also.
Yeah. I met Mundus, by the way.
Are you on the space section?
I'm on Space Battle, yeah.
Oh man, the
I was
fun.
able to almost beat Devil May Cry 1 by the time we made this video. Or by the time we got done with this video. I mean, there's still time. But
We
yeah.
still have time. We still have time.
regularly flooded with orbs with nothing I wanted or even needed to buy.
Wait, so he? Okay.
Yeah, he just straight up just didn't like buy a majority of the shit in DMC 1, I
So
guess.
or DMC5. So
Sorry, DMC 5, yeah.
he's telling me that he's now telling us that he got all these orbs in Devil May Cry 5 and it ruined his experience, except the game was already too easy and he didn't have to bother with that most of those abilities in the first place. And now he's saying he didn't even buy a lot of them, so he wouldn't have even used them. Man, it's amazing. He doesn't just want to have his cake and eat it. He wants to have his cake, fuck it, and eat it all at the same time. Like,
And
Oh.
he doesn't want to share it with literally anybody.
what an incredible. I'm so curious. Like, how many, like, is this just going to become a running gag where every time Mayo talks about the fucking orbs in Devil May Cry 5, a new plot hole shows up? Like we already we already debunked the original argument years ago, and now he's just making more holes in it. It drives me insane.
Yeah, I think that Mayo is just not self-aware enough to understand like just any of the problems with what he says. And also, like I said, I keep saying it. I know. I just think that most character action games just aren't for you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if he was like willing to have a conversation with someone who disagreed with them, but he
He's
doesn't
not, so that
He
doesn't happen.
doesn't have the cojones for that. So
Here I was regularly spending my orbs just to stay alive and fight stronger. It's not all good news though. I can't say I enjoyed
True.
the boss fights very much. The giant bird that shoots lasers at you was pretty annoying. I just couldn't get up on these red platforms because the jumping feels a little weird and the camera angle makes it awkward.
agreed.
Nello
Also-
Angelo
Also, you're using the grenade launcher for that fight. I'm sorry. I don't know how you didn't realize that that was like the worst possible option for that fight. Yeah, I think you might have had a slightly better experience if you used Ebony and Ivory because like yeah,
wasn't
he's
very
he's
fun.
very clearly designed. He's very clearly designed around Ebony and Ivory and not any of the other guns.
Yeah, the grenade launcher has like nice little bursts, like consistent bursts of damage, but it also leaves you very vulnerable, which you don't
Yeah.
want against an enemy that's throwing out all this fucking shenanigans at you.
It also is like not good at like long range damage because of how easily because it has a travel time unlike all of the other projectiles in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And the camera angle makes it awkward. Nello Angelo wasn't very fun either. It feels like a boss fight that only gets fun once you really dive into the mechanics of the game.
Oh my fucking
You
god.
you mean that thing you're supposed to do when you like review the game and you like play it? When you really dive into those mechanics, you know?
But also, I thought that he was
Mm.
diving into the mechanics because he said he liked the punish fun zone, whatever the fuck. Oh my god, I can't keep up.
Neither can I. But also, like, no, I'm sorry. Um, Nello Angelo is not a boss that's only fun once you've like dove into the mechanics. He's just a really fun boss because he's really well designed
Yeah,
in like pretty much every aspect. Like I would not complain about anybody saying that he's the best boss in the game, and that's coming from somebody who likes all of the bosses.
I think he's the best boss in the game.
Yeah. And it's not just because of the fact that you have to dive into the mechanics in order to enjoy him. No, it's just because he's really well designed and really solid. That's why people like him.
Yeah, no, and even my first time, holy fuck, my first time playing Devil May Cry 1, I was still pretty young, and even after having played a bunch of DMC 3, I was not that adept at it even then. But I thought Nello Angelo was fucking awesome, and I wasn't, like I said, I was not like super into the fucking mechanics, and no one, I don't even think I knew what jump canceling was back then, but I still loved him. He's a great boss.
Yeah,
And
it
also,
just goes to show.
admittedly, playing Devil May Cry 3 first helps a lot with the story context.
True, 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 true.
And play repeatedly. I hated the nightmare fights. If it were only once, that would be okay, but 3 times? I just did not find it fun to be running around hitting seals on the wall and then focus down a blue orb. I thought it was really annoying. And the final
So,
encounter
so I agree. Well, let's let him finish the rest of this real quick.
Yeah, we'll let him finish that one.
is in a claustrophobic space that leads to all kinds of camera issues. Half the time the ball is exposed, I can't even see it. This is when I finally started using devil trigger potions. At this point, I just wanted the game to be over with. The final boss? Good fucking lord, one of the worst boss fights
Huh.
I've ever experienced.
All right, before we get to that, because as I was saying, I agree with him on Nightmare. I don't like the Nightmare fights at all. I think they're poo poo. But you do, so I'll let you take it away.
I do. I think there's a decent amount of value in the nightmare fights. I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, and not necessarily for bad reasons. He's very much a wild card as far as the other bosses go. I think that he's probably the most like. Earlier, I had said that Devil May Cry 1 is structured more like a Mega Man game than an actual like Devil May Cry game, and Nightmare is one of the like biggest examples. He's the most like Mega Man out of them because he's definitely more like a puzzle than a traditional boss fight. He has very obvious but also like weird tells and very specific ways that you have to counter each of his strategies, and also he's one of the few. Another reason why I think a lot of people like have trouble with him is because he's definitely better fought with Ifrit, and I feel like he was designed more with Ifrit in mind. We've got the dial aspect, obviously, where you have to keep the dials up to turn the lights on, otherwise Nightmare is much stronger and does a lot more damage. But when he has the lights on, he's a lot more aggressive, but he's also vulnerable. And then there's also the unique gimmick of the cores, where Nightmare has 2 cores, and that's how you deal the majority of your damage on him. But the thing about the cores is that apart from the normal health bar of Nightmare, they have their own separate like status health bars where the more damage you deal to them, or sorry, the more hits you deal to them rather than damage, the more that health bar will go down, and the core will change colors. That's how you can tell what state it's in. And they will stay in those states between fights. And depending on what states those cores are in, Nightmare will become more aggressive. So if he's in a red core state, he's going to be a lot more aggressive than if you manage to keep him in a blue core state, which is why Ifrit is the weapon of choice because of the fact that it's the core's states are determined by hits, not actual damage. So you can use Ifrit's charged attacks to deal a pretty hefty amount of damage to Nightmare itself without dealing damage to the cores. I think he's a really interesting boss fight. I understand why people aren't the hugest fan of him. He's definitely a curveball in comparison to the much more traditional boss fights that the game has, where they're very straightforward in what you have to do. And also, yeah, fighting him 3 times is just kind of a problem that's in Devil May Cry 1 in general, because they wanted to make the most of the content that they had. So they were like, yeah, just put it 3 times. I don't mind it for Nero Angelo. I actually kind of mind it for Griffin.
Yeah, I think Nightmare fucking sucks. Uh, no, honestly, I think if they just took away the fucking attack that makes you fight other bosses, I'd have a much more positive opinion of Nightmare. But playing the game on the harder difficulties with just that one attack, I hated it so much.
That's fair.
Um,
Thankfully, there's a very easy way to avoid that attack, and that's the dials.
yeah. Um, I do like his fight otherwise, but yeah, I don't like the managing of the dials and yeah, the boss attack of bosses. What a weird thing to try and describe. So,
Yeah. I don't
uh,
know if Mayo. I don't even know if Mayo actually experienced that part of it because he hasn't mentioned it so far, has he?
yeah, you'd think that would be like the first thing he mentioned, but I guess not.
No.
I guess he figured out the dials thing and he just I mean, hey,
And you know
good
what?
job, good
Good on
job.
him. Good. Yeah. I'm of the opinion that I agree and disagree.
Yeah, that's fair.
The game to be over with. The final boss? Good fucking lord, one of the worst boss fights I've ever experienced. Suddenly you're playing a completely different game and flying through space shooting fireballs. It's like that random change in Bayonetta, which is just as bad. No, this is worse. You just mash fire on him until you get enough devil trigger that you unleash a fire dragon at him. I don't know what's going on. And then the second phase is this lava area,
All right, all
dodging
right.
shit
So
and
So I
I'm inclined to agree. I hate the space part. I think it looks cool, but playing it fucking sucks.
Yeah. However, I actually really like the second portion of Mundus's boss fight. It's not. I wouldn't consider it the best because I think it's a bit too limiting, but it's also it keeps going back to that, like there's puzzle aspects to it where like there's very obvious tells of like
Mm-hmm.
things that you're supposed to do and everything like that, like how you've got those fucking orbs that he tosses around the battlefield, which are designed to give you devil trigger once you break them. You've got the dragon, which seems really annoying at first, but it's fairly easy to kill but deals a lot of damage, and its purpose is to give you a chance to get more health. And then you've got the aspect of how your Devil Trigger is literally designed to be a hard counter to Mundus, because everything you do in Devil Trigger can damage Mundus no matter where you are on the screen.
Yeah, I like the second phase of Mundus. I just don't care for the arena. I just think the moving platform circle. I don't like arenas that circle a boss or an enemy in general. That kind of stuff always messes with me. I remember Lollipop Chainsaw has a fight like that also against the hippie girl.
And I completely
That boss fight is really cool, but like the circular arena, I don't know. There's something about it that just doesn't jive with me.
I
Even
get that. I think it's because of the fact that it limits you a bit too much.
you have to move in a very specific way to work with it, especially with moving platforms. And I guess you can say there's challenge in having to figure out how to move and dish out your attacks, but I I don't know. I don't I don't groove with it.
I don't rock with it, jive with it, if you know what I mean, bro.
I don't be jiving with that. No, no.
All right,
what's
I've
going on.
officially beat Devil May Cry 1 in the time that it took us to do a Seize on this video.
Damn, and we only have 2 minutes left too. We were almost there.
Yep. Yep.
To be fair, we're not even 3 hours in. We're 2 hours and 43 minutes in. So
Oh shit, I beat the game that quick? Damn, I'm kind of impressed. Oh yeah, I beat it in an hour and 54 minutes. Holy shit.
nice.
That's a new fucking record for me. I know it's on Devil Hunter, but Jesus.
Hey, Devil Hunter counts.
True.
on.
Sorry,
And
just
then
had to
the
suck myself off.
second phase is this lava area, dodging shit and jumping onto platforms.
I think that's another thing for me with this second phase is the platforming specifically.
Yeah, the platforming is definitely not platforming is not the best.
Like the fixed camera really doesn't work with I mean, is it
I
fixed?
understand it
It's
from
kind of fixed, I guess. Because you do move it a little bit, but it is also stationary. It's weird. Um, Either way, yeah, I don't like platforming here.
Yeah, I understand it from the perspective of wanting to incorporate as many of the game's mechanics as possible. I just don't think this was the game that we should have done it. If Devil May Cry 5 had a platforming boss, I might jive with it if it was designed well. Devil May Cry 1,
We
not so
do.
much.
Don't you know? It's
Then again,
called Gilgamesh.
died. Then again, I am also somebody who just beat Mundus in like less than 2 fucking minutes, so who knows?
There you go.
which I swear is impossible at this camera angle. I fell into the lava so many times and didn't
Same,
even
bro.
understand why.
Same.
I lost all my yellow orbs and had to repeat the first phase a few times. Eventually I said screw this shit and bought a bunch of devil trigger refills and invincibility, and I cheesed the fuck out of the final boss with constant fireballs. I hated this fight
Wait a
so
second.
much it wasn't fun in the
So, if you can cheese it and go easy mode like that, similar to how you described Devil May Cry 5, doesn't that make the game bad?
Yeah, doesn't that make the game bad because you're doing something intentionally gimping your experience by just, you know, I've, yeah. What else said?
Then again, I don't know. Mister, I like my games to be hard. Getting his ass kicked by a boss decides he's going to go into the ultra cheese mode. I don't. Again,
Yeah.
these things. And in fairness, I agree with his points on why this fight has problems. But like, I don't know. He's trying to make very conflicted arguments. He's trying to talk out both sides of his mouth, and well, we're catching it because we're autistic motherfuckers who will pause every other fucking second just so we can make a point. So who knows?
Absolutely. Let's go.
Yeah, boy.
the slightest. I don't feel bad one bit about how I beat him. You can save the comments
sure.
about, oh, he's actually really, really fun once you're a speedrunner or something.
Oh my god! Again, it's like
Yeah, exactly. He keeps fucking doing this thing where he
Why
keeps
is he like
equating.
this?
I don't know. He keeps doing this thing where he keeps equating that these bosses are only good if you do this hyper specific thing or if you're really, really good at the game.
Like-
and no,
Like, my
You
guy,
can-
this isn't a fucking, like, World of Warcraft or Destiny raid boss that someone's telling you to solo no damage or whatever. Like, it's just the final boss of DMC1. Like, chill out. You don't have to be a super speedrunning mega god to find it enjoyable. I find it enjoyable, even though I share your criticisms. Like, come on.
yeah,
Ugh.
it's almost as if just because you personally don't like something, and there's nothing wrong with not liking it. It's almost like just because you don't like something doesn't mean that you can't also see where its merits are and where it's
And try to
you
meet
know.
it halfway.
yeah.
Oh, man, this guy belongs at Weenie Hut Jr. Sorry, Super Weenie Hut Juniors.
Real.
Something like that. Okay, great. I'm happy for you. So,
Also, quit dismissing high skilled players. Like,
It's-
just stop,
Well,
because
it's really,
that's also like really dismissive to them.
and it's really weird, too, because his buddy Zaz, I think it was, who's, like, apparently...
Really into Devil May Cry and really good at it.
Yeah, quote unquote, really good at it. Who, in my limited interaction with the guy, was very much an elitist douchebag, and apparently he's Mayo's buddy, but Mayo's sitting here trying to talk about how elitist douchebags, he doesn't care what, I don't know, man. That's, I don't know, man. The company you keep does not compliment the words you speak.
Indeed.
So
Indubitably,
Dante's-
my friend.
saves the day. Him and Trish work together at the store, taking missions to fight monsters or something.
store.
I don't know. Who cares? The game is over. I have unlocked the next difficulty, and great, replay value. But you know, while I do like this game, and I love a lot about its design philosophy, I just can't see myself going all the way through it another time. I tried. I played it for a little bit, and I'm over it. It was a good experience, but thinking about all the negatives brought me down, and I'm really missing all those crazy attack options that Dante had in DMC5. Thank you
That's
to
perfectly
everyone
valid.
who's been insisting that I play the older DMC titles.
I find it really telling that after all this talk about how DMC5 sabotaged his playthrough or whatever,
He keeps
talking about how
much
he apparently he went back to DMC5 multiple times, played on the higher difficulties, did Bloody Palace, and he said he I think he said he had like 80 hours in it. Not in this video, but at one point sometime. Um, so he puts all this time into DMC5, which sabotages playthrough and doesn't have the difficulty and blah blah blah. And then he gets the game that he, putting the other criticisms aside, like design philosophy wise, matches up with what he wants. And he won't even fucking go back for a hard mode playthrough. It's like, dude, oh man, that's such a bad look. That's such a way to walk back on everything you've said.
No, it's okay. It just, Al, you don't understand. It wasn't for him. It was not for him.
Again,
And it,
I wouldn't
and
even
I
have a
don't.
problem with it if it wasn't for the fact that he's done all this talk about how, challenge matters and blah blah blah. But
And then every time that the game like explicitly challenged him really hard, he just took the easy way out. Yeah,
and can't even
yeah.
be bothered to replay it on the higher difficulty, despite it being better because it's. I'm just saying, man, it's very telling.
This
No,
was
it's
really
okay.
fun. I'm excited to see what's next. Everyone has warned me about DMC2 being bad, but I'm gonna go in with an open mind and see how it goes. Later.
Well,
So that was an Under the Mayo video. You guys wanted us to talk about it, and well,
honestly, I had a lot of fun doing this. I think it was even more fun challenging myself to beat Devil May Cry 1 in the time that we did this.
are you gonna do it with DMC two? Yeah.
Do you want to do a DMC2 video?
I would not be opposed if people like, comment, and subscribe and tell us in the comments about how they want to see us talk about the DMC two video. Oh, we're
Yeah,
gonna. I mean, I'm just
I,
saying.
I could do it with DMC2. I feel like I would be able to do it with DMC2 Dante run, probably not the Lucia run, and then I don't think
That's interesting.
I would
Lucia's
be.
run is shorter, so you think that would be the go-to?
But in order to complete the game, you technically have to beat both.
I
Um,
mean,
but
eh.
I don't think I'd be able to complete it with DMC3 because that game. Maybe I could, maybe I couldn't. It feels the
I
DMC3
could.
is longer.
I could
It depends on
definitely.
how long. It depends on how long we record.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna definitely be the most talkative about DMC3 since I know that game so much more than I do DMC one or two.
True, 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 true. But yeah, I mean, I had fun, so like, I wouldn't mind doing a DMC2 video. It's interesting how like if we did do a DMC2 video, we would once again be in a case where we would be somehow disagreeing with him for a good chunk of it. Like in DMC, like in his DMC2 video, he tries to make the argument that people are hypocritical for calling DMC2 really unfun and really bad when uh, allegedly DMC5 does the exact same thing DMC2 does. Where
Stop.
DMC5
No.
it's really boring, unfun gameplay. I'm not joking. I'm not
How
joking.
does
That's
a
exactly.
human? So is that one of his acclaimed jokes, or
No, he was 100% earnest. He was 100% like that was real. That was a real opinion that he had on the matter.
okay? So I no longer have to question whether it's his intelligence or his integrity. Got it.
Yep, it's both.
I was just gonna say
Mostly
it's.
the
I
intelligence.
was gonna say intelligence. Yeah. No. It. Okay. I will. I will reserve judgment until I hear it myself. But if you're unironically gonna make a claim like that, oh, oof,
It's a
that
it's a
has
pretty
to,
bold one.
again, going off what you've told me, haven't heard him say it, maybe misremember, whatever. But like, judging off of that, that has to be one of the dumbest things anyone has ever said about Devil May Cry. I'm just gonna be honest,
Now,
like that is up there.
grant
That is up there with thinking that V and Yuri's, or wait, what was it?
V and Urizen were working
V
together.
and Yuri's working together. Yeah, yeah, yeah. When they
Now,
very
granted,
clearly were not.
I have to give him credit. It is technically consistent with his previous views because he was criticizing both Devil May Cry 2 and 5 for the same thing. It's just that his criticism is obscenely um, dumb when it is applied to Devil May Cry 5, because it's just not the case.
That's. I'm trying to.
I was like, Emily would be comfortable.
I'm trying to
Comprehend sheer
comprehend,
stupidity.
but I guess we'll have to wait until next time.
I'll shoot you. Cool. Do they